Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Who ate the whole apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Allah ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Who ate the whole apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Allah ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Who ate the whole apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Allah ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
All right. We are live. Welcome back to Reason Answers, your home for the
crackhead clown individuals
such as Mary and myself, and sometimes the people we talk about. But today we will not be talking about a crackhead clown, at least as the main subject, because we will be talking about Aisha, not Muhammad the Prophet's Aisha, but Mohammed Hijab's Aisha, i.e. the woman who accused Mohammed Hijab, and he basically admitted to it, of tricking her into a secret Misyar marriage, which then he changed the terms of and wanted a sex-only marriage. We've been through a lot over the last month and a half, 2 months or so through this drama. Mohammed Hijab declared that it was over right at the beginning almost. He said, this will be the last statement I make on it. And then he made multiple videos and multiple statements after that. But in his last one, he said, this is really game over. But it wasn't game over. Behind Veils, the YouTube channel publishing the accusations, published more material. And so Dawah jumped in. Dawah to the rescue. He declares game over. Game over, after he attacks Sheikh Tarane, an individual who verified some of the material involved. But it wasn't game over, because Aisha is back. She has released some new material on her channel, which we'll be looking at today. And she also has announced that she will be suing Mohammed Hijab in court, which I think is a great idea. I do not suspect she'd get much of any justice from any Islamic Sharia court organization, but from the UK legal system, I think that she has a very good chance of winning. Obviously, suing people, legal stuff, costs a lot of money, so she has launched a GoFundMe. A link to that is in the video description. There is hesitation on my part to promote this, not because I don't believe that it's just, or I don't believe that it's right to support her, but because there is a possibility of backlash from Muslims who will throw her under the bus and say, you only did this to get donations from the kuffar. You're just out for money. So think carefully before making a decision to donate, but I will say that I myself have made a donation to her legal funds. Today we're going to be going through her material. Welcome back to the stream. Anything you want to say on that subject before I make another announcement?
Well, there is one important thing you left out in the timeline. That first, Mohammed Hijab promised to give an answer, that he was going to publish an answer, and then within the time frame that he specified, which is within an hour, a supposedly unaffiliated, non-British, you have to really sound really British when you do that, and very, very pompous and non-affiliated British YouTube channel against the lies came out against her. But that wasn't his answer. He had not answered it, even though he said he would within that time frame. But that was not his answer somehow. Something else was his only and final answer.
True. I just kind of glossed over that, just saying the not Mohammed Hijab false accusations channel was Mohammed Hijab in my description there. But he said that his only response would be a single statement, basically saying there are some lies and rumors about me around. He wasn't even specific. And I categorically deny them all, basically was his only statement officially on the matter.
Yes. There was the other statement that he promised he would give, and then it appeared, and then he said it wasn't him. So
yeah,
there is
within the next hour, I will release a video responding to all the accusations against me. And then within that hour, give or take, it might have been an hour and 5 minutes. I don't know for sure if it was within the hour, but in the same time frame, he publishes a link to the the false accusations channel with the response. And then later in another tweet, he said, in my first response, which isn't him, right?
He can't remember. It's hilarious. But to the point of her suing him, the British legal system makes it massively easier to sue and get damages for slander and any kind of defamation. Defamation lawsuits are enormously easier in the UK to pursue and win. And what he did, dubbing a fake voice, pretending that was her, lying about her, saying, she wasn't any good in bed, that kind of stuff, that's all defamation. It's all very, very clear defamation, especially since they used her real name. So he is absolutely liable in British law. She can take him. Yeah, she can wring him dry, and she should, because he deserves it. And his wife needs to leave him. He's a cheating, dirty, rotten scoundrel, and he needs to be kicked to the curb. And he should never see his children again because he's a bad influence on them.
Hussein Mashtani with some tongue-in-cheek question here, I think. Why is there need for a lawsuit when the Islamic Council of Europe is going to handle this situation? Yeah, I mean, why go to the UK courts? I mean, she's surely going to get justice from the Islamic Council of Europe, right?
Well, here's a funny thing. It actually is slander what he's doing to her, but she's a woman, so she doesn't matter. Under Islamic ideas, even if it had been true, it would be slander. But because she came forward first, she slandered him, because, truth is totally slander if you make people think worse of someone. So, like, him slandering her back is fine, because she's a woman and she said something first and she didn't shut up and let him abuse her.
Holy, which I believe is pretty new to the channel, says, who is this Mary person? So it's been a while since you introduced yourself on the channel, Mary. She's a regular contributor, but tell us a little bit about yourself, Mary.
Yeah, I'm too many Marys. I've absolutely have to get some yard work done today, so sorry. I cannot even be in front of a computer. And I am usually here once a week, and usually I have a face of some sort, if only a niqab, but I'm the lady in the turban who shows up sometimes. I'm too many Marys. I make content on Islam, most commonly on Thaddeus' channel.
All right. And Hussein said, even if there are 4 witnesses, would it still be slander even if there are 4 witnesses? And that I'm not 100% certain on. I mean, generally slander is defined as anything that would cause the person embarrassment. So truth doesn't really enter into it.
And it's
but if there's 4
Islamically,
witnesses, then
you're doing it publicly.
sin.
So
Yeah,
right.
then it's a public sin. So then it's probably not slander, I would think. I'm not 100% certain though. All right. So one other announcement, as you may have noticed, YouTube has decided to copy me. They're apparently launching a points program, which, I've had for years, but well, maybe not years, but a year anyway. And so they are like, oh, Thaddeus did such a good thing, we're going to copy him. I have been selected as a experimental channel randomly. I didn't apply for it or something, but I've randomly been selected. So in case you're wondering why some people have little crowns next to their name, it's because of the community points thing. You get points for chats and you get points for super chats. It appears you get 25 points for a regular chat. I don't know how many points you get for the super chat, but it'll show you who the top 3 are. And if you click on the community thing at the top, you can see other people where they stand on the leaderboard as well. Apparently this will reset each stream. You still have the reason answers points up above you, which don't reset. You get to keep those forever and ever. So they decided to copy me, in case you're wondering what this is all about. Why you got a 3 next to your name or a 1 next to your name, or what is going on? So that apparently is the case. My channel was randomly selected as a early experimental channel in something that they're trying out. Exactly. YouTube is copying me. It seems likely to incentivize spam. Well, that's probably why it's experimental, because they want to see what the actual impact is. It certainly incentivizes engagement, certainly incentivizes this super chats. So I think that they're trying to see whether or not it will lead to like also people spamming like crazy or not before they like send it out broader. And of course, they're also testing it for bugs and whatnot. Is our boy Thaddeus multi-streaming, or is it only YouTube? Yeah, only YouTube for now. I'm definitely considering doing multi-streaming. I just haven't gotten around to actually setting that up. But I can with my software, I can stream to multiple platforms without any substantial extra work. So there you go. Look for that coming soon. But for now, catch us on YouTube. So again, if you're interested in contributing to Aisha's fundraiser, link is in the description, but do so prayerfully in consideration of the fact that Muslims might use this against her. If a bunch of Christians make it obvious that a bunch of Christians have donated to her. Not saying don't do it, not saying do it. That is a decision for you to make for yourself. Now we're going to get into some of the content that she's published on her channel recently. Last time we did one of these, Ali Dawah had just released a video which he attacks Sheikh Tarani primarily. In theory, right, he's setting the record straight on hijab and Aisha, but primarily, even though he's totally not attacking anyone or whatever nonsense he said, it's basically a veiled attack, not very veiled even, attack on Sheikh Tarani. But in that, he says that if anyone at all thinks that I'm lying about anything, they can challenge me to a mubahala. And I am ready. I'm ready to accept that challenge. And that is the context of the first video from Aisha that we're going to watch here. 1 second. Cat just jumped in my lap, so I'm adding the cat cam before I play that. All right, we got Morgan joining the stream, and we got the first of our videos for today. Audio only. I mean, there's a visual of the audio, but sharing that visual, but it's audio.
After Brother Ali Dawah's video, I find myself compelled to come back with this reply. I would like to reiterate these following facts, and especially those who are parts of the Dawah work. In Islam, we don't cancel anyone. In Islam, we punish, we correct. And if there is anyone who has very specific traits and refuses correction, and he transgresses, and he doubles down on his actions, and he justifies his action from the Quran and Sunnah, we go to scholars and we go to shuyukh and we ask them to interfere.
So what do you think about her interpretation of Islam here?
I was just thinking Mohammed himself changing all the rules, and all the rules that he changed to allow his most trusted followers to get away with stuff. Like, it was absolutely forbidden on pain of death to take from the booty before Muhammad got his cut. But his son-in-law, Ali, took a hot girl from the booty and had sex with her and claimed her as his own before it was divided. And Muhammad just went, well, he deserves even more than that. So he got to take his pick of the booty rather than the reverse. Now, the reason Ali did that was because Muhammad wouldn't let him bang another girl in town while his daughter with Fatima was still alive, because he didn't want to upset Fatima. You know, Ali was a big fan of Misyar marriage, loved it, banged chicks every time he got out of city limits. But he was so horny that Muhammad knew that he couldn't keep his hands to himself and wouldn't even give Fatima a slave, because if he gave it to Fatima, then immediately Ali would be like banging that girl. And so, but when he broke an absolute rule, pain of death, what did he say? Oh, Ali deserves even more. Why? Because Ali called him on it, and Ali knew that he valued him as a leader, a war leader, more than he valued his own loss.
Mhm.
The rules always change to benefit the people who are in the favor of the Muslim power structure, even in Muhammad's time. That is just the way it is.
So a comment here from Cargo Crew. Hijab himself is a very smart guy. Well, I dispute that. He didn't directly incriminate himself, and I definitely dispute that. This libel charge won't affect him too much, but brave on the lady to file suit. Just because he put it on an anonymous channel and pretended it's not him, does not protect him in any way legally.
No, it does not. If it can be traced back to him.
If there's an actual lawsuit, it'll come out that he's the actual owner behind that he was responsible for the videos. I mean, he took credit for it on Twitter, so I'm assuming he's definitely behind it in a very material way, and that will come out in the lawsuit, right? The hidden things are revealed in lawsuits, and
subpoenas, baby.
Having a anonymous AI narrator isn't going to protect him in any way. So he was actually not very smart. The smartest thing to do would have just been to keep his mouth shut and wait for this whole thing to blow over and pretend like he had no idea anything was going on. But his ego was far too big for him to do that. And Roger says she can sue on breach of promise, and she acted on it to her detriment, possibly under the Misrepresentation Act.
Absolutely cannot, because he was luring her into something that wasn't a marriage anyway. So he had it's bigamy, it's illegal. There's no basis on which she can sue him for a relationship, because all she agreed to is be his girlfriend and bang him under a British law.
However, the original thing definitely, I think, would have gotten him in trouble with his wife, but wouldn't have gotten him in trouble with the law. However, the fraud, faking screenshots, faking voice notes, saying they're from her when they are in fact created by them, and the statements about her character, about her being insane, being mentally unstable, being a pathological liar, all these things she can definitely get him on in court.
Faking her voice, absolutely she could, and having her say false things, saying that was her, that was absolute defamation. But as far prostitution is not legal in the UK, she can't sue him for having defrauded her of the money that she would be paid to bang him. That's just not something she could do. But defamation, yes, absolutely, and she will win.
And in any case, there isn't a dispute over money. She says she was paid what she was promised, as far as that goes. So Solaria with a super chat. Unfortunately, you didn't put it in parentheses, and I have not corrected it to accept ape without parentheses, so it's going to play as a normal super chat.
We're asking you to give a loan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and believe me, that will be paid back in ways you can never imagine.
Who is it that would loan Allah a goodly loan so he may multiply it for him many times over?
Allahu Akbar. I love that verse. Every time we donate to projects, we're giving a loan to our Creator, the most generous, who will return it to us in this life.
Brothers and sisters, can you afford to miss out on this opportunity?
Every time you donate, you're giving a loan to the Creator. Our Creator, he's so good and powerful that he needs your money. Interesting God you got there. So Larry said, Robert has encouraged me to check and see how this works. Is my mic on? Are we cooking with petrol? And then he did say, oh, wait, I did it wrong. Oops. Yeah. So it's got to be in parentheses. I need to change that. Far from the first time someone just taped ape without the parentheses. So I got to change that to make it work either way. But
can't keep changing the formatting. You change the formatting all the time and you confuse us.
No. It's always been you have to put it in parentheses.
Yeah, but other things are exclamation marks to trigger things. So, that's like run a function. You should have the same thing, the same format every time.
Fair enough. Morton says, isn't buying prostitutes illegal in Britain? I assume so. But it's probably not highly prosecuted, right? Not everything that's illegal is usually prosecuted. That doesn't mean it would never be prosecuted. And that's obviously something that Hijab could potentially get on, but that would be a criminal charge. And these are civil. A lawsuit would be a civil charge anyway. So Solaria giving it another try.
I've already purchased 4 shares. 4.
That's from last time. I forgot to clear them out. So that one, that's on me there. Whoopsie. That was from the Epic City. Mohammed Hijab purchased 4 shares of Epic City. Let me see if it generated a new one. And it's just at the end of the queue. So the queue reset. That was the first one from last time. Or if I just totally screwed it up. Let's see.
It's not in Perl, so it's hard for you.
Yeah, so it probably didn't generate because... Oh, wait. Okay, I see what happened. All right, so it did generate, but it didn't overwrite that file, so I can manually play it. And then I'll fix it so it doesn't happen again today, at least. It'll probably happen next time when I forget again, because me. But in any case, here's the actual super chat. Oops, I need to turn audio on.
I seem to have had technical difficulties.
There you go. So I'll move the previous ones out of here so that it will work going forward, hopefully. All right. Hopefully that works. McFarva says Epic City sounds like the name of some slop mobile game marketed by out-of-touch boomer brand managers. Well, it's definitely some out-of-touch project. Some serious financial boondaggles going on there. Some combination of incompetence and fraud. If you haven't checked that video out, and you got 6 hours to waste, check it out. I'm going to have a shorter version, a 15 minutes or so version, breaking down the main point of that video coming out next week. And Mary and I will be on Apologetics Roadshow on Tuesday to talk about the subject. So many opportunities to hear all about that. Val Rudder saying what everyone is thinking. I come for Mary and Thaddeus, but stay for the cats. That's why we got cat cams, is to keep people watching, because otherwise they definitely wouldn't. All right. Back to Aisha here.
When there was absolutely no sheikh, no scholar who was ready to interfere or say anything or even correct him Islamically through fiqh for the ideas and ideologies that he was extracting from the Quran and Sunnah and wrongfully combining and creating a very destructive wave that is marriage with the intention of divorce through deception.
So her position and she's going to do a lot of clarification of some facts in her position. Her position is that, yeah, maybe like each individual thing hijab had justification for, but he combined them all in an illicit way, creating a whole that wasn't the sum of the parts, so to speak. And that's why it was invalid Islamically. In other words, he may have technically followed Islamic law, but he didn't follow the spirit of Islamic law.
And
interesting interpretation.
I would say that she has a point that Islamically, you are not supposed to marry for the intention of divorce by deception. However, there is nothing in the world that keeps a man from choosing to want to give his wife less than what she's owed, period. And the Quran says that the women who don't do that who don't accept it are corrupt and greedy. So he wasn't marrying with the intention of divorce. He was marrying her, but had no desire to give her her full amount.
That's true.
And there's nothing there that says that you can't do that. And he was marrying her with the intention of divorcing her if she didn't accept it. I don't think there's anything that prevents that either. So.
Right. So there was deception, but he wasn't technically intending to divorce her. He was, I think in his mind, he expected her to accept his changed terms, and then he could have his sex-only marriage that he desired.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You might also be referring to the McDonald's incident, though, where he performed the
But that wasn't by deception. He warned the girl he's probably going to divorce you right away, and she was cool with it because she wanted basically a temporary marriage.
Yeah, well, I mean, was, from all indications, she was fine with having sex with him without, the fake marriage involved. So she didn't really care whether he went through some fake ceremony to justify himself or not. And that's what that was all about. Now, whether Hijab should have performed it or not, even some Muslims have criticized him on that. But, I mean, it's consistent with the behavior of Muhammad and the early caliphs. So got a good argument to say that it's allowed in Islam as well.
I mean, it was open-ended. The issue was that it was open-ended, not that Misyar marriage is traveler marriage, and it's usually typically lasts, a season. It just doesn't have that written into the contract. It doesn't last very long. You have fewer rights, does not last long. That is Islamically fine in Sunni law. You just can't say it shall be for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. So Way of the Road says, how do your cats sleep all day? Well, they're cats. They sleep like 16 to 20 hours a day. All cats do. So
anytime they need a nap, they come over and go, hi, let me plant my butt on you.
And the Heretic Purger says she should become a Christian, and I absolutely agree with that. Aisha, if you do watch this, we are praying for you. We are hoping for the best for you. We're rooting for your lawsuit. We're rooting for justice for you, but we also are rooting for your eternal salvation by coming to the loving truth of Jesus Christ through the salvation he offered as a free gift on the cross. And if you see this and you'd like to talk more about that privately, my contact information is found in the video description. Cargo says, if this lady Aisha is smart, she must definitely file a serious charge like rape with pretext of marriage, fraud, etc. Again, she accepted money, so we treated as normal adultery, not culpable. Again, I think that she has a much better chance of winning on libel, slander type charges as well as.
Yeah, I mean, she's a bigamous wife. She has no standing whatsoever. She's an eligible bigamous wife. If anything, she is guilty of bigamy under British law. Unfortunately, they do not prosecute people for having unregistered fakey marriages, which they should do. But it's the same in the US. They don't prosecute people for these fake, disgusting, bigamous marriages that all kinds of people have. But they ought to. They really ought to prosecute them again. They used to.
All right, let's get back to Aisha here.
Practice them, he doubled down on them, and that these actions are one of the permissible opinions. When this happened,
So again, he claims that it's permissible. She disagrees. She kind of does acknowledge that the elements are found in Islam, but she says the way he combined them was with malicious intent. And as Mary said, she does have somewhat of a point Islamically, but it's a legitimate argument, and it shouldn't be, right? If Islam was actually fair and just and actually moral, it wouldn't be an argument at all. It would just clearly be immoral. But in Islam, it's kind of a gray area.
when this happened, I am صاحبة الحق. I am the one who has been wronged. I came out, I presented absolutely as much evidence I was capable of sharing online. Salman took 8 months plus to investigate everything I have shared with him. The WhatsApp conversation has been cross-checked by Sheikh Mohammed Tarawna with Mohammed Hijab, and Mohammed Hijab confirmed, stating that he wanted sex marriage, hotel marriage, and halal prostitution. I shared the phone number he spoke to me from because he denies that it's his.
So what she's doing here is she's going through all the steps that have been taking place. There was an 8-month investigation. Her side of the story was confirmed by independent parties, by Salman and by Sheikh Tarani. Mohammad Hijab spoke to Sheikh Tarani and he confirmed it to him, which is why Mohammad Hijab and Ali Dawah have since thrown him under the bus and tried to make him not look credible. Everything was acknowledged. She doesn't say this here, but elsewhere it came out that there basically was an agreement that Hijab would apologize to her and Ali Dawah would publish a video against the practice without specifically mentioning that Hijab was the one that did this to her. They recorded that video. That video was thankfully also recorded by Aisha and has been released, but Ali Dawah spiked the video on the encouragement of Mohammad Hijab, deleted it, got rid of it, gone forever, never to be seen again. And that's what really set her off, them violating the agreement that they had, and Hijab facing no actual accountability for it.
Hijab, well, he never would have faced accountability, for heaven's sake. He would have given her a private apology. Ooh, what does that account for? He used her, and private apology. Who cares? Might make her feel a little bit better, but it would just be lip service. The reason he didn't want to do it is he's probably got another chick already on the line, and he doesn't want his practice condemned. He didn't want the other chick to find out, so he wanted the whole thing to just be married, and he wanted her to shut up so he could continue banging other women because he thought that keep his wife more out of the possibility of finding out, and have the other woman who's currently on his list would be able to be reeled in to this ridiculous thing. Because he's done it before. He'll do it again. He's probably doing it now. Hey, Mohammed Hijab's wife, you're just a womb to him. He bought your vagina. He bought your uterus. He bought your boobs to nourish his children. That's all you are to him. Because this is Islam. And he is a true Muslim. He isn't better than his prophet. He is everything his prophet would want him to be.
So Sarah Alicia said, a part of me feels sorry for her. A part of me hopes and prays she wakes up to the lies and fabrications. Absolutely. You can have both thoughts simultaneously, and I think you should have both thoughts simultaneously. You should feel bad because she's a victim. She's a victim of Mohammad Hijab, but she's also a victim of Islam. And as long as she's only acknowledging the hurt of Mohammad Hijab, the abuse of Mohammad Hijab, she's not really addressing the root problem. She does need to wake up and realize that Islam created this situation.
Like the Quran situation. The Quran explicitly says, what are you supposed to do as a woman if you feel your husband has negative feelings for you and doesn't want to give you all of your rights? You're supposed to give him anything you want so he continues to be married to you. And if you don't, you're greedy. That's what it says. It's 4:128. You are a bad person, Aisha, according to Islam, because you won't just give him hotel booty. If he wants it, you're so worthless in Allah's eyes, because Allah prefers men, that you're the selfish one. He does give you the right to say, no, I don't want to do this. But he also says that you are selfish.
And that's the opinion of Mohammed Hijab too. He's like, basically, what Aisha said this in her testimony. Mohammed Hijab said to her, "Why are you rejecting something which Allah has allowed? Why are you being so selfish and unreasonable by expecting me to treat you well?" And then Hussein asked if his current wife has done anything about the situation. Obviously, we don't know one way or another. Very interestingly, after this broke, Mohammed Hijab recorded a couple videos in his car. Like maybe he didn't have access to his usual home studio. Could be coincidence, could mean that he was kicked out. Don't know one way or the other for sure. And we probably won't find out.
If she doesn't take him to the cleaner, she's a coward.
Yep.
She is a coward, a pathetic coward. She has every right to take him to the cleaners, and she should. No one should stand for this level of humiliation and disrespect.
Siraj says those who donate to Mohammed Hijab have a share in his fornication and adultery, and I would say support him in any way, like including, watching his channel or attacking people who are criticizing him on other channels. They are morally accountable for promoting his behavior in their actions. And Carol says, "Can I get a crown?" Yeah, if you chat enough and or give enough super chats to move up the leaderboard. I don't know how many points you get for a super chat. It looks like you might actually just get the same as normal. It might just be 25 that you get for a super chat, which is kind of lame. They should give you extra points for that, for sure. But basically, you move up the little community leaderboard, new feature of YouTube that they're demoing on my channel, apparently, by chatting, basically. And you can click the little community link at the top of the page to see where you stand in comparison to others. Make sure to chat lots and move up, I guess.
Yeah, and if Mohammed Hijab's wife does not divorce him before the lawsuit is well underway, she's doubly stupid because he's going to lose that. She needs to get her cut before then.
Mm-hmm.
His own statements telling on himself on podcasts showed up online in so many platforms, advocated for marriage with the intention of divorce and spreaded it amongst the youth.
So what she's alluding to there is Mohammed Hijab made videos talking about how revert girls take it the best in his experience of having multiple secret second wives. Did a podcast on Misyar marriage, did a podcast on divorce where he accidentally said, "I was recently divorced," telling on himself in all kinds of ways. And she's published a couple more clips of him telling on himself, which we'll look at here in a little bit.
Regardless of the taqwa, regardless of the discipline, Mohammed Hijab encouraged and influenced a lot of people. And then we heard stories of the McDonald's nikah, and we heard the stories of the brother Zaid who came out and talking to that woman. He told me, "I married you specifically for this arrangement because you have no family here in this country."
Now, that's a very interesting line. That's something that I don't think has been said before. Mohammed Hijab apparently, probably when they're fighting after she rejects this stupidity that he wanted her, it's like, "I selected you because you have no family in this country." In other words, I selected you because you're vulnerable and I can take advantage of you. And he's trying to use this against her in an argument.
Yeah. Yeah. Like your father can't kill me. Your brothers can't kill me. And really killing me is the only kind of justice that might occur. So shut up, woman. You're worthless.
Pete says, "I haven't moved up from 75 points. I've sent several chats since I hit 75. Well, I don't know. Okay, I don't control it. Maybe it's not working. No one's. You're right. It looks like maybe no one has increased in points recently. I don't know. I have no idea. Or maybe you can only send 3 within 5 minutes or something, and then you can't get any more points so to prevent spam. I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be stuck at 75. A couple people have more, but I think they were people who chatted before the stream started. So, i.e., it's been longer since they sent their original messages. So, quite possibly, quite likely, you only get 3 in some period of time. I don't know if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes or what, but probably after a certain amount of time, if you chat again, then you get more points. I don't know. This is the first time it's been on my stream. YouTube is just beta testing this feature now, so they may not even have documented how it works. Yeah. Well, thank you, Pete. I mean, we're all trying to figure this out together.
As soon as that was clarified, I did run away. Brother Ali claims that I am a liar, straight up. It's not like Allahu A'lam. It's not like maybe, no. Ignored the fabricated screenshots by Mohammed Hijab. He ignored the fabricated voice note.
Saw that here first. I was the first person to talk about the fabricated screenshot. Behind Veils did talk about it as well. They independently discovered it, as near as I could tell, but I did talk about it first, and the fabricated voice call, have videos on both of those. Reminder, if you've missed any of this and you want more information on anything we're talking about, complete playlist of the whole saga is pinned. Take a look at that. Have videos on all these subjects at one point or another.
Ignored the lies. He ignored all the other things that Mohammed Hijab has done. Yet being...
By the way, Ali Dawah didn't ignore the fake screenshot. He promoted the faked screenshot. Whether he faked it himself or not, he is the one who brought it to public attention and said, oh, look, here's the proof that Aisha was faking screenshots. Oops, we don't know how to use Photoshop, and we made it obvious that we forged the screenshot. So he's much more culpable than just ignoring the fact that someone else put out a fake screenshot. He was the one who promoted it and brought it to public attention. Maybe he faked it. I kind of doubt it. I don't think he's intelligent enough to know how to do it himself, even though it was poorly done. I think probably someone on his team or Mohammed Hijab probably faked it, but either way, he promoted it. And it was exposed, and he didn't retract afterwards, right? It's not like, oh, sorry, I was given that, and I didn't realize it was fake. I retract. I denounce the person who did this. No, he just continued to go with it after that.
So certain that I am a liar and coming forward with an offer of mubahala, I accept your offer. Accuse me of being a liar so many times in your videos. This means one of two things. Either you have seen clear-cut evidence. I'm not even asking you to share it. You said you are ready for mubahala, come out. I am going to put forward the following statements. This marriage and divorce happened.
So we'll get her statements there, but in case you weren't here at the start, when I introduced this, in the last video from Ali Dawah, he said, if anyone thinks that I'm lying about anything said in any of the videos, I challenge them to mubahala. I'm ready. I'll do it. Anyone at all. Well, I'm pretty sure Aisha qualifies as someone. She definitely qualifies as someone. And I think she probably would know whether Ali Dawah was lying about her or not. So
but she's too short. She's probably even shorter than Ali Dawah. So, you can't do a mubahala if you're taller than someone.
True. This tiny little woman wants to try to challenge me, 5'6", Ali Dawah.
Something like that. For those who missed it, Ali Dawah declared that Mohammed Hijab would not do mubahala with Harb because it was inappropriate because he's very tall. Like, that was his argument.
He's like, this woman wants to challenge Mohammed Hijab. He's like this big guy, 6'6", and she wants to challenge him to mubahala. She didn't challenge you to a street fight, moron. She challenged you to mubahala, which is a cursing battle. How big and strong Mohammed Hijab is irrelevant unless you're saying that Allah is too weak to do anything because Hijab is bigger and stronger than Allah, in which case I might have to agree with Ali Dawah on that one, to be honest. I think that Mohammed Hijab is definitely bigger and stronger than Allah, who is, in fact, a tiny mouse, as we all know. But she's challenged Ali Dawah to Mubahala, which this is a good reminder for me because he said anyone could take that challenge. So I'm now going to publish a video where I take the challenge as well and say Aisha has taken it in case he tries to say, well, you're not a Muslim, you can't take it. Well, Aisha is. So there you go. We will get...
Yep. The Christians who originally challenged to Mubahala were not in a position to tell Muhammad that their God is a demon and has no power. We are. Mm-hmm. So they didn't want to give any appearance of giving any kind of approval to a curse involving the true God, which you shouldn't. But I'm perfectly willing to do a curse involving Muhammad, who, if he exists at all, is a demon. Mm-hmm. Like, what's that going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, the Christians are looking at the words of Jesus where he says, don't swear, just let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. And they were hesitant to take such a challenge. But throughout history, Christians have mostly determined that this isn't like some statement that swearing under oath is inherently immoral and inherently wrong, but rather you should always be telling the truth. You shouldn't have to swear for people to say that, oh, this time he's actually telling the truth because he was swearing under oath. But most Christians, 98% or something, would not have a problem swearing in court that they will tell the whole truth, for example. So I don't have a problem with taking the challenge either. Freitag asks, how tall is 6'6"? It is just a smidge under 2 meters for those on the metric system.
This marriage and divorce happened. The divorce was khula. Mohammed Hijab gave me clean promises to myself and my father in 2023 when he got married to me, with an honorable marriage based on mutual emotions that he expressed. After the nikah only, he brought up conditions that are crazy and disgusting and un-Islamic. That the only way Ali can...
Hang on. They're crazy and disgusting, but they aren't un-Islamic. Come on, stop that. Stop that silliness. They're absolutely Islamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, it would be un-Islamic from a Sunni perspective. Not necessarily.
No, I mean, like the conditions at the end. But go ahead. No. Yeah.
Sorry, there was going to be words after that. Now, if you're un-Islamic from a Sunni perspective, generally speaking, a few Sunnis would disagree, for there to be a time-bound condition, right?
Yes.
This is a sex-only marriage. Well, that will last 2 days, and you get $200. That would be un-Islamic from a Sunni perspective.
Correct.
However, a sex-only marriage is not Islamic from a Sunni perspective, as long as there's no time bound to it, and arguably no intention to divorce. Right. So,
well, I mean, you can have an intention to divorce at the moment that you're tired of her is also completely Islamic. Right. But you can't say that I expect it to be like 3 weeks.
Right. So in theory, you're not supposed to go in and say, yeah, in your mind, right, without a specific legal context. But you're not supposed to go in your mind and say, yeah, in about a week, I'll probably move on and divorce her. That's what you're not supposed to do. But that isn't what Mohammed Hijab was intending. I mean, like, legitimately, I don't think that he was intending to divorce her. I think that he was intending for her to be his hotel easy access wife for as long as she was willing to continue the arrangement. So I don't think that it was un-Islamic in any terms. But I do agree that they are disgusting and immoral. Certainly agree with that.
The only way Ali can possibly prove me a liar is when he has seen with his own eyes evidence that either proves that this marriage never happened, this divorce never happened, or there is Ali has seen clear-cut evidence that I have agreed to this sex marriage and hotel marriage.
And that's true, right? Ali could say, like, I don't know one way or another, but I'm inclined to believe Mohammed Hijab. But he doesn't say that. He says 100% she's an obvious liar. This marriage never took place. And he can't legitimately say that unless he has evidence and proof beyond Mohammed Hijab's claim. And I'm sure he doesn't have that. In fact, I'm sure that he probably knows that he is lying. He knows that Mohammed Hijab did this, and now he's covering for him one reason or another, either because he's a loyal friend or because Mohammed Hijab has dirt on him, or both.
Yeah, I think there's a reason that Ali Dawah couldn't get any men and who knew about him to give him a woman to like publicly marry. I really, really suspect there are very good reasons why, because he was whining and carping on for a long time about how hard it was. He was, on the hunt for his public wife. He just said wife, but his public wife. And he was whining about how hard it was to get one. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to go. I'm pretty sure she's American, he said. So he had to go across the sea where he's only known via his online persona, and nobody knows anything about him personally, to get someone willing to put their daughter in that.
So Sarah said that's why she's so confused in her heart of hearts. She knows all this is wrong. Yeah, I think that's probably why she took this so hard. Is because it reflected on Islam, right? She said that she used the same techniques they used to judge whether something is Islamically true, whether a witness is reliable or not. All the scholars agreed. Everyone said Mohammed Hijab was the best of the best. And then he says, this is real Islam. So I think that it was definitely more than just personal. It was also a crisis of faith for her.
Oh, yeah, and it still is. It still is, because if this is right, then Islam is false, because she knows what has been done to her is wrong. Yeah, guess what, honey? Islam's false. Selling your prepubescent child for a man to bang her is wrong. Islam is false. Like, yeah, what happened to you is wrong. Islam is false.
Mm-hmm. Hotel marriage only in Islam.
And we're proud of that.
Indeed. So Marion says, so all he needs to do is shut up about his real intentions. Practically speaking, yes. Practically speaking, obviously you can't know what someone's thinking. So if you don't tell someone that you plan to divorce them after a week, there's nothing they can really do about it, right? There's no way they can prove that was your intention all along. But hypothetically speaking, you're not supposed to enter a marriage with the intention to divorce in Sunni Islam. But that's the only thing. That's the only thing. Is
unless
divorce.
Yeah, you could have an open-ended intention to divorce. Like, I will divorce you if I'm no longer attracted to you. That is perfectly permissible and totally understandable in Islam. And if your woman gets old or too thin or too fat or too wrinkly or too flabby or too muscly, then yeah, kick her to the curb.
Yep.
Because that is a valid reason to divorce her.
Yep, it should be a crisis of faith according to Allah, and I agree. Super chat from Ronald Paul.
Wasting your time on social media is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.
Ronald Paul says, God bless his channel. God bless you all. I echo the second part of it anyway. I don't know if I want to say God bless my own channel, but God bless everyone in the audience. And especially if Aisha turns in, God bless you. May you come to know the truth of Jesus Christ. Thank you for that donation, Ronald Paul. And remember that wasting your time on social media is the best thing you can do, which means you're doing the best thing you can do right now. Think we'll finish up this one. We got several more after it.
So if you have seen clear-cut evidence and you have a zero doubt to the point where you are accusing me of being a straight-cut liar, not deluded, not a psychic anymore. No, now I'm a straight-cut liar, you said. You said that you are ready for the mubahala. Please come out. I am ready.
She's ready. She's ready and waiting, Ollie. You said anyone. She qualifies as someone. Let's do it. We'll be watching. And we'll be watching. We'll see if Allah brings curses upon you, or we'll see if you're a coward and you just avoid this forever. Not because you're afraid of Allah necessarily, but because you're afraid that people will know you're lying and still taking the curse of Allah, which will prove that you don't believe in Allah. I think that's why Mohammed Hijab won't do it. Ali might actually believe. He might actually be a true believer. I'm not sure one way or another. I think Mohammed Hijab is not a true believer and is a scammer. That is my opinion on those two. Ali definitely could be stupid enough to actually believe his own nonsense. And then we got Scarface here saying the divorce rate in America is like 50%. Stop projecting. Why would I care what the divorce rate in America is?
Yeah, what does it have to do with anything?
Nor does that mean, even if the divorce rate was 100%, that wouldn't mean that people were entering into marriages with the intent to divorce after having sex. So try actually thinking and try to not distract from the sexual abuse of your beloved Mohammed Hijab, who you probably want to take as your Misyar wife.
And by the way, they don't track actual divorce rates in Islamic countries. They track the number of currently divorced women who are single. They do not track divorce rates, because if you're currently married, you no longer magically count as a divorced woman. So like Somalia, which has an incredibly high divorce rate, magically only has like 8 or 9% divorce because the vast majority of women remarry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only the women who are currently divorced and unmarried that count as divorced.
So Misha says 7 more after. That means I'm expecting a 6-hour stream. Well, I need to pause that one a lot to provide the context in case there are people watching who are not familiar with everything. So several of these are only a few seconds long. They'll go very quickly. So our next one here, she said there's lots of clips of Mohammed Hijab tattling on himself on various podcasts and whatnot. So now we got some of those clips of him tattling on himself.
So the sister's like, hold on, you wasn't like this in the beginning.
No,
so why all of a sudden, there are cases like this.
So what can he do?
No, they have to.
If he's tolerating it, he can say, look, I'll give you 6 months. There's only 2 things I can see happening.
But you're not practicing the way I want you to. But I'm saying in the beginning, right, you compromised on that thing. So
what? I mean, I don't understand the issue here. So he wants this now. She's not doing it.
But it leads to divorce, ultimately. Exactly.
But no, what I'm saying is...
Yeah, that's a cause.
I get dopamine, but what I'm saying to you is, for me, divorce is not as bad as her not putting hijab on anyway. Like, if I were to get married to her and then get divorced, it's better, that whole situation, Islamically speaking, is better than her not putting on hijab on anyway.
So two points made here. So the woman's basically saying, you know, when you entered the nikah, you entered the marriage contract, you agreed to certain terms, and now you're trying to change them. And Hijab's like, so what? If he wants something different now, he wants something different now. That's his right as a man to demand something different. And then the second thing he says, apparently the context here was when they first got married, the husband didn't require the woman to wear hijab. Now he demands she wear hijab. And then he says, well, that's worse anyway. Not wearing hijab is worse than getting a divorce. So he has every right to throw her out for refusing to wear a hijab.
Yep. And that's the thing. Muhammad made provisions for if a woman fears that a man is feeling negatively towards her, if they has bad feelings toward her, she is to accommodate him, or else she is a selfish person. That's it. That's the woman's right, is to give in or get thrown out. That's it. That's what Islam gives you. So there you go. Hijab is right about Islam here. I know that girls are taught stupid things to make them feel good. They're taught lies, but he is absolutely correct here. There is not a sheikh in the world who will say that if a husband suddenly doesn't want his wife to go out anymore, except for the Islamically required things that he, in Sharia, you're supposed to let your wife go out X number of times for X certain things, they would say, good. So what?
Mm-hmm.
If he wants her to wear something or not wear something or whatever, they'll say, good. As long as it's not like Islamically forbidden. She should do that, or else she's a selfish person, and she gets her divorced if he's not willing to continue to give her whatever, and she doesn't like it. She can get her divorce. That is the Islamic answer.
Yep.
I don't know why
He can
Aisha is
change
like
the terms.
surprised at this.
He can change the terms however he likes at any time. The contract is not all that meaningful because he has the right, and she has the right too. He has the right to change the terms. She has the right to say, I don't agree to the new terms. Let's get a divorce. And that's actually what happened here. That Mohammed Hijab said certain terms, and then like one day after being married, he changed the terms. She didn't agree to the terms, and he gave her divorce. She had the right to ask. He gave it to her. All good Islamically in his mind, although he says that she's selfish and whatnot for not going with something that Allah allowed. His servant says, I can't imagine the stress on the women to keep their husbands happy so they don't end up in poverty. Very sad. This is not what God intended for marriage. Absolutely, right? As I've said a couple times, Aisha is a victim of Mohammed Hijab, but she's a victim of Islam as well, because yeah, he did a couple things that were somewhat sketchy, Islamically speaking, but the basic idea was 100% Islamically valid. You know, having a marriage with minimal rights, having a marriage that doesn't provide for the wife financially is fine. If a man agrees to a marriage where he does, you know, a full ordinary Islamic marriage where he provides for her financially, and then changes his mind 4 years in because she's not attractive anymore or whatever, he can do that, right? That's the example of Muhammad. That's literally the example of Muhammad. He decides that his wife Sada isn't attractive anymore, and she gives up her rights so that she's not thrown out on the street. So this is Islam, and it is very sad, and it is contrary to God's law, which shows that Islam is false. And it says your cats are proving to be therapeutic in this trauma dumpster fire we call Hijab's love life. That's why they're here. They're here to provide you with some therapeutic release. So that's the second one here. Now we got another clip of Mohammed Hijab tattling on himself.
You, as a young man, you're not married. Like we've all been married here. When you hear this, is it scary for you? Is it like, you know what, like this is some goodness here I can benefit from? No. He's a young boy. He's young, mashallah. He's gonna be learning. So, like, what would you say, Aki? Like, how do you feel when it comes to divorce when you hear it? You know, yeah.
So what I'll say is like, definitely, it's a lot harder. I would say in this generation, the new generation of like, I'd say after 2000, it's going to be very difficult because a lot of people are nowadays like they're very immature and they've been raised in a very immature way, and like I just personally I think the best thing to do is just like not try and reinvent the wheel. Just go look at your parents, look at your grandparents. That's probably the best thing to do. And like a lot of people nowadays, they think they can change things and like make things different with
and you work with them, innit? You work with the older generation.
I think that's probably the best approach. Try and like, go for what works and don't try and like change it and like copying ideologies, like, you know,
we think we know it all.
Can I?
Yeah.
So they have this random guy on, and basically they're trying to convince him divorce pandemic, what's the cause, right? So they're trying to convince him of their point of view and whatnot, and he's basically like, I think you should just follow your parents' example. Well, that's all fine and good, but what if your parents didn't have a healthy marriage? What if they didn't have a good marriage? That's essentially saying nothing, right? This naive little Muslim they got on to be their guinea pig and give them content. He hasn't really thought this through. He's just kind of naive. But I think Aisha posted this because she's agreeing with him. She's saying, oh yeah, you know, we just got to stick to the traditions. We got to follow the example of Muhammad and the rightly guided caliphs and the long tradition of Islam. Well, I'm sorry, Aisha, the long tradition of Islam is not all that different than what you've experienced.
And here's the thing: how many women did the caliphs marry? Like even the ones who were stabbed really quickly, they kept their numbers full.
Mm-hmm.
They had plenty of chicks. Ali had like 20 wives. Second, Fatima's body was cold. He tied the knot with other people. He's already jumped in bed with other people because, extremely low view of marriage, extremely low view of wives. But second, her body was cold, tied the knot with plenty of other women.
So we're figuring out how these crowns work, or how these points work. Marion has moved from 75 to 150. So it does appear that after, it might be an hour. I guess it's probably an hour. After an hour, you can earn another 75 points. So once an hour, you can earn up to 75 points with 3 chats. Possibly super chats always get you points, but they seem to also only get you 25 points. So, but you always get reasoned answers points, right? You always get reasoned answers points over here for every chat message. I'm not limiting you to 3 per hour on like YouTube. So, and it will show, it cycles through. It has the all-time lead, but it also has the lead today. So you got the same functionality, much better from me. All right. So I think that she's kind of agreeing with that guy, but it's not really a very well thought out position, because following your parents' and grandparents' example only works if they have a good marriage. And if they have a good, healthy, loving marriage, they're doing so in spite of Islam, not because of Islam. Next one here.
Hanbali madhab, it's actually mentioned in all the books of the Hanabala. Ibn Qudama mentions that. What do you call it? Mirdawi mentions that. Al-Hajjawi mentions, even Zal Mustaqna, Musa al-Hajjawi mentions it. So many people mention it. Bahuti. So this is what you're saying is legitimate. In fact, if someone puts in the contract, maybe I should be given all the.
No, you should give the tip.
No, we're giving.
Brothers, it's a bit of truth.
We're giving all the. Funny enough, I'm Hanbali myself, you know.
I'm Maliki.
Okay, but all the other madhahib actually don't agree with this, and the reason why is they bring it. There's a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that says, "Ayu shartin laysa fi kitabillahi fahuwa batil." That any condition that is not in the book of Allah, then it's nullified. So they say that this is a incorrect. So the Hanafis don't accept this, the Shafi'is don't accept this, and the Malikis don't accept this. So if the woman is Hanbali, for example, she puts this agreement, and he's not this thing. No, but he's not this thing. He doesn't.
Tattling on himself. So he's saying that according to, there's some disagreement on this point. And according to most of the schools of jurisprudence, you're not supposed to put conditions in the marriage contract, or at least you're not supposed to put conditions that violate Allah's ideals. I think might be a way that he'd phrase it. But he'd say, the Hanbali disagree. And by the way, I'm a Hanbali. And then he's like kind of laughing about it. And like he's getting shy about it. I think he's thinking of his own personal situation here, right? He's thinking about the conditions he put in a contract and so on and so forth.
And no matter what is the consequences for violating the contract? She has a valid reason to ask for a divorce. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's all you get out of it is a divorce.
Yep. So he's gonna get on to the specifics that he's talking about here, I believe.
It's all about what he believes in. If he doesn't believe in it, it might not be veracious. However, I would add to it, the Prophet ﷺ did say, Al-Muslimun ala shurutihim. Muslims are upon their condition. Mm-hmm. Which is, you know, oh, you who believe, fulfill the contract.
Yes.
So if a man does sign something like that, I would personally believe it's an obligation for him to honor that. 100%. Having said that, once again, it goes back to the madhab he's following, right? So if he's not following that particular school of thought, if he isn't, that's something else. So that's just, I think there's a good point.
Okay, so before we slide.
He thinks it's a good point, but it's really just a technicality here, right? He's like, oh, you know, it all depends on what school you're following. The moral law should not depend on what school of jurisprudence you're following, right? It shouldn't vary. It shouldn't matter if the husband prefers one school of thought and the wife prefers another. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's not, it's not. But he's like, oh, you know, it's all about technicalities. Well, you know, that is Islam. And he says, in his personal opinion, which I do not believe, I do not think he's telling the truth here. In his personal opinion, you should follow the contract even if the contract is not Islamically valid. Right? He's saying that according to jurisprudence, if you put invalid terms in the contract, if the woman makes you agree to terms that are not given by Allah, then you can violate those terms. Like, think what a lot of Muslim women want in their marriage contract, for example, is you're not allowed to take a second wife. Allah might have allowed you for, but I'm allowing you to not marry a second woman. The common opinion expressed by Hijab and others in his circle is that the man has every right to get a secret second wife because that contract was never valid in the first place. So that's what they're talking about. Things like that, where that are not allowed by Allah, that you put in the contract anyway. And he says, oh, but I think that Muslims should follow it. I think that they're obligated to follow their contracts, even if the contract's invalid. I don't believe him. I don't believe that's actually his opinion.
Yeah, and again, at best, what it means is that he is required to give her a divorce with her mahr, rather than grant her divorce and she gives up her mahr. So she has a valid reason to ask for a divorce and mahr if he violates this. That's the best you could hope for.
And Sarah with a very good point here. God's word should be one, not multiple schools of man's thoughts. In Islam, the scholars, scholars in quotes here, the lawyers, as I prefer to describe them, the jurists, the people who come up with the authoritative rulings on what Allah's word actually mean, are primary. The word is secondary. Primary is the consensus of the scholars because of, among other things, the doctrine of abrogation. It's very, very difficult for a random lay Muslim to pick up the text and understand what Islam teaches, what Allah actually intended, because they don't have all the knowledge to know of what everyone has determined, that, Allah abrogated this, or these words have a different meaning than their surface level meaning, and so on and so forth. Islam is all about legal technicalities. All right, we got another one here. I believe this is the last clip of Hijab tattling on himself. Actually, this one is not. This is just her showing a current video showing the fact that she still has the history from Hijab, but all the messages were deleted, kind of just proving that they weren't totally fabricated. So she published that before, but she published it again. So I'll play it there. And then next up, we have this, which is posted as a video, but it's really just a screenshot of a comment she replied to. Because it's a video, I can't easily enlarge it, but I will read it for you. So someone says, sister, if this marriage is true, wasn't it unethical of you to marry a man who already has a wife and a family without their knowledge and consent? How would you have felt in their position? Where was your empathy? I'm saying this to advise you to repent of your own sins also. I hope the truth and justice will come out. And I think that this comment's probably genuine. It's probably not like a Mohammed Hijab fanboy just like trying to trap her or something. This is probably a legitimate Muslim with this opinion that, you both are in the wrong. And it's an opinion that's been expressed by a lot of people in the chat too. And I think Mary wants to say something about it before I read Aisha's response.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. She thinks that these other things, it takes that like all the things that he did to her that she can understand are wrong, that those are wrong, and Islam has to be against it. But the thing that she intended to do that is wrong in the same way, it is morally wrong, she should know that it's morally wrong. She should know that she is hurting, that her sneaking around with a man is hurtful. Mohammed Hijab himself says that no woman would want to have her husband sleeping with another woman. Or no, not one. It is by default hurtful and hateful to be a second wife and agree to that. She was fine with that because that was in Allah's rules. These other things are in Allah's rules too, hon. Like, yes, they're awful, and I'm glad that you understand this now, that it's happening to you. You are also awful. It's awful. This religion is awful, it's disgusting. And it's very sad that you could only see it when it happened to you. Until then, you had all the excuses in the world to say that what you did was totally fine. But, you know, when it's an affront to you, it's an insult to you, suddenly the inherent obscenity of it hits you. You're like, oh my goodness, this cannot come from God. This has to be untrue if this religion is from God. But all the time, you were perfectly happy to run around banging another woman's husband as long as you thought that that was fine with Allah, even though you know that any first wife would feel as more hurt than you, with far more reason than you.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, this is another instance of, I'm presuming this is a Muslim, right? I mean, they might not be, but I'm presuming they're a Muslim. I'm presuming that they're giving this honest opinion, and they're kind of seeing the bad nature of Islamic marriages. And instead of calling out Islam, and instead of understanding the actual hurt involved here, they're pointing at Aisha and saying, you're complicit with this, you're involved with it, and they're correct. She is, right? She did something which she should know, even though it is 100% halal in Allah's book, that it is morally wrong and is hurtful to Mohammed Hijab's first wife. And in fact, I don't know for sure if she knew before she agreed to the secret marriage or not, but at some point she found out that his wife strongly objected to this and had left him when she found out about it before. And I'm pretty sure that was before she went through with the secret marriage. So I would have to say this person is asking a very good question. She does have a response.
Who ate the apple?
You can
Perfect
judge
timing.
yes, you can judge how genuine you feel this is, but she gives some explanation as the way she understood it. I subscribe to the Islamic ethical paradigm. Yeah, that's the problem. I only agreed to not being the one who informs her. That's his job. He will do that when he sees it right. I stood against the secrecy.
Okay, that's a lie. She's a liar. She's lying now. She is absolutely lying now. She absolutely knows that Mohammed Hijab believes that secret wives are totally fine, and she was fine with being a secret wife, period, forever. She was fine with that.
So
that was obvious. She's lying now to make herself feel better. Yeah. She's absolutely lying now.
So there might be a hint
better.
of honesty in that she convinced herself of this, that, well, if he doesn't tell her, it's on him, not on me. It's up to him when he tells her. It's not really in my control, but
you're banging another woman's husband, honey.
But she knew that he intended to keep it a secret, right? So I'm not saying that this isn't her actual thought. I'm not saying that she's lying after the fact, making up her thought, but she was at least lying to herself and justifying it in her mind.
Well, she is lying insofar as she knows that there is no requirement on him to ever tell his wife in Islam. There's no way she doesn't know that. She knows that he doesn't have to tell her, and she was willing to hide and sneak around.
When he sees it right, which could be never. Right, that could definitely be never.
Right. So
I stood against the secrecy.
I'm not standing here as Mohammed Hijab going, why didn't you think of hurting this woman? Which Mohammed Hijab actually said. He had the balls, his tiny shrunken testicle marble balls, to say, why didn't you think of his wife? He couldn't think of her because he only thinks of but with his balls, but you should have thought of the wife. No, he is number one responsible. She is responsible for what she has done to his wife, but she's definitely number two responsible. But the fact that she's like, Islam has to be just, but I did this thing that's clearly disgustingly unjust because I justified it in my mind because it wasn't hurting me. That sucks. She needs to repent for that.
She says it right.
She absolutely needs to repent for that.
Yeah, she says the problem right at the start. I subscribe to the Islamic ethical paradigm.
But she doesn't if it hurts her.
I know.
Once it hurts her, she's like, wait a second, this sucks.
I know. If the roles was reversed and she was Mohammed Hijab's first wife and he secretly took a second wife, she'd probably be as upset, right? She'd probably be really upset about it. Just like
she'd be far more upset because she'd have more reason to be upset. Now, like, how much in love can you be with a guy that you banged a few times in a hotel room? Really?
I mean, they did have a year
Yeah.
or two relationship before.
But they chatted online and then they banged a few times in the hotel room. Mohammed Hijab's wife has raised his children and has lived with him day in and day out. So she's far more hurt by this than Aisha, but she's more beaten down. Aisha's less beaten down by it.
I'm going to say that she's far more hurt. I would agree she's probably more hurt emotionally. But Aisha's doubly
More
hurt
outraged.
because it's also an insult to Islam, right? It's also an affront against Islam. It also is a crisis of faith. So she's suffering for two reasons. Emotionally, I would say yes. His first wife is definitely more emotionally attached to hijab.
I mean, his first wife might go, yeah, Allah thinks I'm trash. Allah thinks that women and in this life are prisoners with men, that Allah made them with messed up heads so that they speak poorly and they look with greed and lust, and we're just bad people. And so I ought to be pathetically grateful to any man who would tolerate me in return for me giving him the only things of me that are of value, which is my crotch and my womb and my boobs, to raise his children with. So maybe she's maybe she's more of the better Muslima and believes all of this nonsense, and so doesn't have a crisis of faith when she's treated like trash, because she has accepted that even in her future life, that if she and her husband both make it to Jannah, she gets just assigned to whatever levels he's at. No matter how much better she is, she can never be assigned. She has to be given over to him, and she will spend the rest of her existence as a prisoner, as the doorkeeper for the whores that go in to bang her husband in the next world. That she will open the door for the houris. Like, that's her life. And maybe she's not having an Islamic crisis of faith because she's accepted this, and this is what Islam is, and this is the truth, that this disgusting thing is the truth. But she is absolutely more hurt emotionally.
Professor Yava says it is possible to be in love with someone, I think the implication being very quickly. And I'm going to have to agree with that because my wife and I were married 4 months and 4 days after our first date, and we've been married for 24 years. So sometimes you just know, right? Sometimes you just know. But I think that there's definitely an aspect of what his servant said here, that she was infatuated with his position, with his status, with him being a scholar, and not him as a person. All right. She took a I'm going to say a very Islamic view of marriage, that this is just a contract, right? That this is just a arrangement for legal obligations between parties. And I'm sure she had some emotions too, but a lot of it was based on, this is the best possible match I could ever find, Islamically speaking.
I think so. And yeah, you can have the heady infatuation, but you build things over time. There's more substance to what you have over time. So the heady infatuation and the mad rush of early love, those are really strong feelings. But it's not the same as having built something for 20-something years and thinking that you have this whole life. It's your entire life. That was my comparison. I wasn't talking about
you weren't talking about pure emotions necessarily.
Like the momentary headiness of the emotion, right?
Yep.
But the depth.
Anyway, getting back to what she says here. I stood against the secrecy he asked for by leaving the marriage and exposing his actions. And so that's not true. Like, I'm just going to say that's flat not true. The reason you left, according to all your other testimony, isn't because of the secrecy. It's because he changed the terms and wasn't going to provide for you financially. And emotionally as well, right? It wasn't just about money. I don't want to try to make it sound like she was about money, but what she wanted was a normal relationship where he was involved in her life, was involved with her kid, provided financial support for them.
Right. She wanted a life and not just to be used as a prostitute. And once she realized that she was just a prostitute to him, that's what was the huge betrayal. The money was a symbol of their building something together, essentially.
Right.
But she wasn't going to get that.
Yeah. I don't want to make it sound like she was just out for money. That's not the case at all. But she wanted a normal-ish marriage, right? She wanted an actual relationship. She wanted an actual family with him. And then he changed that to be sex only. And that's the reason she broke it off. So when she says, I left the marriage because of the secrecy, that's just not true. When he promised a home and normal marriage, his natural means everyone will know he has new kids. We all live in the same city. So again, I think she's justifying her mind when he said that we were going to have a normal relationship. I want to have kids with you. I'll be there no matter what. And he did say all those things. That would implicitly mean that he would have to tell other people about it because it would become obvious. And that's why she thinks that it wasn't, long-term secrecy. I mean, she's lying to herself. She's justifying it in her mind. I'm not saying that she's like intentionally lying to us, but she's lying to herself, justifying in her mind, because that's not the implication at all, right? Of saying, I want to have kids with you means I will tell my first wife about you. So promising him I won't go myself to inform his other wives, plural, very interesting there, and we'll leave that to him was not unethical. No, it's his job as a husband to do it in the right time. Now, that could just be
so dirty. I'm sorry.
But I think that she accidentally just revealed something. I think she accidentally just revealed something, that he does have other secret wives currently.
Yep. Oh,
and that would surprise absolutely no one, I'm sure.
I wonder how many diseases he's brought back to his first wife. Hey, Mrs. Hijab, go get checked out. That whole thick and yellow discharge thing, that's not healthy. As Mohammed told people. Oh my goodness. Like, what a dirtbag. But but the thing is, that's not my responsibility. It's his, Islamically. I take no official responsibility for this. Same thing with Mohammed. It's not, I don't have to give you this. If you don't like it, you can ask for a divorce. I gave you the divorce. I gave you your mahar. We're done. Islamic justice has been filled. Why are you being crazy, woman? If you're going to be okay with, it's his responsibility to tell his wife. Again, she's only hurt when it's hurting her.
Mm-hmm.
Man, talk about reprobate mind there. That's like, I understand her feeling of injustice. It is true. She was mistreated. But she needs to deal with her mistreatment of her. 1 second, I'll be back.
No problem. Yeah, so I mean, again, she's a victim, but she's a victim of hijab and Islam, and she doesn't understand that. She doesn't understand that she's a victim of Islam. And she was violating at least the emotional rights, maybe not the Islamically legal rights, of at least one other woman, possibly multiple other women, right? He might have multiple other wives. We speculated that the reason he called it off originally, because remember, he ghosted her for a while. So he courted her and then got her to agree to marriage and then ghosted her for a while and then came back. We speculated that the reason might have been because he was at his 4-wife limit and he was planning on divorcing one of them. And then she made up with him and he didn't want to divorce her anymore.
Yep.
I would say that's a substantial possibility. And maybe that's why he was so upset, because he put another woman aside to marry Aisha, and then she divorces him after a week or whatever it was exactly. And that might be part of why he was so upset. That and the fact that he spent 2 years grooming her and apparently didn't spend enough time grooming her. So last paragraph here. I hope you spread this word, sister. If you have spoken ill of me on other platforms, this guy harmed my life and my child's intentionally through deception. Well, I don't know if he harmed you.
He did it to the first wife too, and so did she.
Yeah, I know.
Just the sheer. She harmed the lives of his wife and children. His children.
Mm-hmm.
Her child is not his child. Her child is the man that she kicked to the curb while he was grooming her, telling her, "Oh, there are better men out there for you, sister. Oh, if he's not Islamic enough, get rid of him." Mm-hmm. Because he basically convinced her to ditch her husband, probably playing with the idea of doing this exact thing from the beginning. I wouldn't say that he was set on it. He was probably perfectly willing to hand her off to one of his friends to do that with. But he's making single women to exploit on purpose. If she wants to stay in Islam, she needs to crawl back to her first husband so that her daughter has any chance of a decent life. And beg him for forgiveness and for having mistreated him so terribly. But she shouldn't be in Islam. She should repent of what she's done to Mohammed Hijab's wife. She should repent of having divorced her first husband for poor reasons. And she should come to Christ and quit all of this disgusting nonsense.
Mm-hmm. So his servant said, if they're secret, how would anyone know he's at the limit? Do you really think he's not telling all his buddies about the hot women he's banging? I mean, come on.
Well, I don't know that he was necessarily completely at his limit, just at what he could handle at that time. Because it might be juggling 3 other women would be too difficult. If you juggle 2 other women in addition to your wife, you can probably get enough excuses to get away to see them all once a week.
And in any case, he would know.
She's going to figure it out.
He would know how many wives he has, and I wouldn't be surprised if his Dawah buddies know how many wives he has. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. And or Mary could be right that he didn't actually have 4. He just had as many as he could handle, and he needed to put someone aside before taking another woman on. Possibility. It's not like it's easy to jungle a bunch of secret marriages. I mean, you got to feel for the guy. He's trying to maintain all these secret marriages. How's he supposed to do that? Super chat from Solaria.
If you want your wealth to increase in this dunya, then give sadaqah more and more. Every single day, 2 angels come down. One of them is making dua for those who give. He says, Ya Allah, give those who give.
Solaria with an interesting point here. And she counts as 1/2 person, obviously. Yeah, I guess you could take 8 wives, right? Because they're only half a person each. But only mentally. They have the mind of half a person, but they still are one person Islamically. You know, a mind of half a person and the religious standing of half a person, but they do still count as one full person. Thank you very much for that donation there. Mary with a controversial opinion. A lot of shower only people would do way better to take a bath at least once a week and get every crevice really clean and scrub their feet properly. Thank you very much for that, Mary.
I also said if you need pedicures and you aren't disabled, you're like, oh, I really need a pedicure because I've got all this buildup on my feet. You're just not scrubbing your feet right. Take a bath, scrub your feet. Your feet should never look like the pre-pedicure feet photos unless you have like a genuine disability and you're not able to do it, so you rely on the pedicures to do that. Please just scrubbing your feet works. I promise.
Need a pedicure. They just mean like for their
no people have like crusty buildup on their feet, and then they go to the pedicure to deal with like all the skin buildup, and the skin buildup is done with if you just scrub them. They really are.
Anyway, Piggy do have a good point here. Let's hope the kids realize Islam destroys homes or home lives. Absolutely. There's a lot of victims here. And Mohammed Hijab's kids are, they're just complete victims, right? They didn't do anything for this. His first wife is a victim. She may have some culpability in that he did this before and she took him back anyway. So she might have some culpability. Aisha certainly has some culpability because she knew exactly what she was doing, right? She knew about the other wife or wives. But they're both still victims, right? They're both still victims, even if they have some culpability. But the kids, they didn't do anything. Aisha's kid and Mohammed Hijab's kids, none of them did anything to deserve any of this hurt and pain. So let's hope that they can come to know that Islam is the root problem of all this. All right, so we now have Aisha talking again. This one, she's talking about Muslims who have been responding to this whole situation.
It did hurt me a lot and broke my heart that my own ummah and our Muslim community, the YouTubers, the Muslim YouTubers, the scholars, students of knowledge, the shuyukh, anyone who did actually speak about my case, they misrepresented it. And they keep talking as if they were incapable of understanding what I was saying.
So she's saying the Muslims who've responded, Ali Dawah, Daniel Hikachu, lots of small channels, Muslim Mom, I think, responded to it. Lots of Muslims responded to it. Every single one has taken hijab's side that's willing to come out publicly. And they've misrepresented her and they've distorted her. But that's not the case for everyone. Well, and she is leaving out behind veils who are Muslims and clearly are on her side.
But they admit that they don't know Sharia. People. That's one important thing. Behind veils say, we don't know Sharia, but we feel that this must be wrong.
But she's for some reason, she's not noticing that all the Christians who talked about it, not just me, lots of others as well, although I probably have the most content of anyone. Hatun has quite a lot of content on it. Hussein Mashni has done a lot of content on it. David's had a few episodes on it. Other people have talked about it. Atheists who've talked about it, the Friendly Ex-Muslim channel and others. We've all understood her perfectly fine. And for the most part, we've been pretty defensive of her. We've said that she is a victim here. She was mistreated. She was abused. And for some reason, either because she's afraid and hasn't watched any of these non-Muslim videos, or because she doesn't want to acknowledge the problem is Islam, she has no acknowledgement of what we've done. And she says, I'm hurt by all the Muslims responding this way. Yeah, the problem is Islam, right? The problem is Islam. Wake up. There's a reason why they're hurting you. There's a reason why they're doing this. And that's because protecting hijab is more important than your feelings. And they feel they're Islamically justified in saying that you're in the wrong because they have an Islamic moral compass. They're following the Islamic moral paradigm, as you said. That's why they are doing this to you. Wake up, wake up. The Christians are loving and accepting and being on your side because we actually have morals that allow us to do that. Your community doesn't. Anything you want to add, Mary? I'll take that as a no.
Sorry, I think you summed it up really well. I couldn't get the toggle.
Yeah, you could. I figured
across. But yeah, my toggle got stuck. But exactly. Yeah, I am absolutely not on the side of hijab. And I'm looking at this from a perspective of Islamic law. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure I know more Islamic law than the behind the veils folks do, which is kind of sad because I've had lots of questions. And so I've looked at fatwas, I've looked at this, I've looked at that. And yeah, it is true that he's done some slimy things, but what she's gotten is what she is owed. She is owed her mahr for the jerky things he did. What else is she owed in Islam? I'm baffled by an answer to that question. There is no apologize now in Islam, as far as I know, right? It's just, yes, she can ask for a divorce. Not only can she ask for a divorce, even though she asked for the divorce, you must give her mahr, and that is her justification. Nobody can put her heart back together. And the reason it was destroyed was because of Islam. This idea of justice that she's realizing doesn't really exist in Islam. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Sorry.
It doesn't exist in Islam.
It doesn't exist, hun.
And that's the problem, right? I mean, there were some emotions here, but I don't think she's obsessed with hijab, right? I don't think that she's so upset about losing hijab or something like that. I think the reason that she can't let this go, she can't move on, she keeps fighting, and I think she should keep fighting, to be clear. I think that she deserves actual justice. But the reason she can't let it go is because it implies that Islam is false. And she can't accept that, which is why we're in this whole weird situation where she's coming up with ways to like say, oh, it's not really Islam that's the problem, it's really hijab, or all the scholars, literally the 100 scholars I talked to who wouldn't reject him, or all these YouTubers who won't reject him. They keep hurting me over and over again. Why? By saying that it's justified Islamically. Houston with a great comment here. Islamic morals don't use a compass. It's more like a kaleidoscope.
I like that.
What Mohammed Hijab wanted after he got married to me was not Misyar marriage. It was a format of marriage that is haram, impermissible in our religion. He called it sex marriage and hotel marriage, wearing a mask ever after.
What is halal? I mean, sorry. What does Misyar actually mean, Mary?
It means a traveler's marriage, so it would be a hotel marriage. What are you talking about, woman? Like,
and what does it mean practically speaking?
It means that a woman gets, that she has less than the normal rights. That's what it actually means. In Misyar marriage,
literally anything.
Yeah, it can be anything. In the case of Sauda, who was the original, it wasn't a traveler's marriage. She was a regular wife. The reason why it's called Misyar marriage is because A, it usually involves men who have a chick at every port, and you're just the port chick. And B, hey B, say secondly, whatever. And B, because really it's just reinstituting a form of Arab marriage that existed before. Muhammad's first wife, or Muhammad's mother, was almost certainly a traveler wife, and his dad was not Abdullah. He was born 4 years after. She was over in Medina, and she was not a traveler's wife to one man. She was a traveler's wife to many men, because that used to be the normal form of travelers' marriages. All Islam did is say you can be a traveler's wife, but now only to one man instead of multiple men. That's it. That's the difference. So sorry, you are a hotel wife if you're a Misyar wife. You may not be in a hotel, but a hotel wife is within the bounds of Misyar wifedom. And well, Allah asked why call it marriage, and it's not. There is no marriage as such in Islam at all. Nikah or zina, and nikah is intercourse. It means intercourse, but specifically it is intercourse that is permitted. There's permissible intercourse and there's impermissible intercourse, and that's all you got. You don't have anything else. And then you have adultery within impermissible intercourse if the woman is married. That's it. There you go. There's nothing like a marriage as such.
Yeah, we're using
no
the term just because that's what everyone calls it, but there's nothing like a Christian conception of marriage, or even a secular conception of marriage, really. It's just legal sex and illegal sex. Now, in individual Muslim households, they may have something that's legitimately a marriage, but that's because of people doing it in spite of Islam, not because of Islam. Islam only provides for legal sex and illegal sex. That's it, right? You sign a contract and you turn what is haram into what is halal, and then it changes from zina to nikah, and that's it. All right. There's no other obligation or no other like concepts of building a family and living in a loving relationship, living in a partnership, anything like that is foreign to Islam as a religion, not foreign to Muslims as people, but foreign to Islam as a religion. And that's because, frankly, to Muhammad, that's what a marriage was permission for him to put his penis inside of a woman. That's all he saw it as.
Never having children and no provision at all, and no contact with my family. Nothing of this was mentioned to me during the nikah when he proposed to me through my father in 2023. People can't understand is my father did give me his permission in writing. He retracted his position only when it was too late. I am not the only one in this.
So she clarifies there, because this is one of the things that Ali Dawah and others have focused on, is that the testimony from her father seems like he may not have given permission. He definitely was very confused. He didn't understand exactly what had gone down. And that's because of the way Hijab set this whole thing up and how it was all super secret. But she clarifies that he did give her a written permission to go forward with the marriage. And then he later took that back when Hijab was playing games, but it was too late because she'd already gone through with the marriage at that time. And Hijab was and she hadn't told him because Hijab was telling her not to tell anyone, right? And she temporarily agreed to it.
The father, so the father was told by Hijab, oh, give this authority over to this guy to just get all these formalities done. And the father was always present at the wedding. And even though he officially gave his authority away to hand her off, his intent was the formalities, everything before the wedding, but then still to be present one way or another. But he, Muhammad gave the permission that he had. He had it in writing. He had the permission, and then he did everything with it that you could do with it, rather than what the father intended. So that's what happened there. That's why the father was super unhappy.
So we have a very bizarre comment here.
And it's funny because the father kind of recognized that he was a dirtbag.
Yeah.
Whereas,
he was kind of tricked.
Women
too,
are
though,
so.
Right? He was kind of tricked
somewhat,
too, because
but he was still a little bit.
Right. He was perceiving that something wasn't right, but he was also kind of tricked and be like, oh, we want to do this as quickly as possible. So why don't you just give your permission and then we'll have a second ceremony, blah, blah, blah. And so he did kind of sign over the permission. So he's a victim of Mohammed Hijab's deception as well. He apparently actually talked to Hijab. Hijab made promises, right? He made statements to the father, and then he didn't go through with those terms. And I'm sure everything she said is true. Hijab made promises to her, made promises to her father, didn't follow through with those promises. But from Hijab's perspective, him tattling on himself and the clip that she herself had, the husband can change the conditions of the marriage at any time. And that's completely within the bounds of Islam. And so what, right? That's Mohammed Hijab's words. So what? If he changed it and she doesn't like it, then she can get a divorce, and divorce is not a big deal. It's something that's allowed. It's not something that's even looked down upon. It's just perfectly fine. Unlike in Christianity, where divorce
it's no big deal
is allowed, it's something that God hates, right? It's something that is an acknowledgement that something's really, really broken, that a relationship's really, really damaged, that the way things God set up are not going as intended. And it's something really bad, sometimes necessary, but really bad. Whereas Islam, it's just, we had a contract, the contract's done, let's move on. Go ahead.
Except that it is really bad for the woman, because now she's used goods and her value is very low now. So it is significant in its impact on women, because now her value is trashed. But it's not significant in the idea that men can throw away women and turn them into trash at any time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I am not the only one in this world who assumed that Mohammed Hijab is reliable and honorable and worthy of trust. There are hundreds of institutes, organizations, mosques, shuyukh, scholars. Some of them didn't even tell me that he's a good guy. They used the word thiqa. They told me Muhammad.
Thiqa. What does that mean, Mary?
That he's a person of fiqh, of law kind of thing.
It's a very high compliment, right?
Abiding guy. He's a guy who, yeah.
Like it's better than just we think he's a good guy. It's like you can count on him to correctly follow Islamic law. And here it reveals why she's had such a crisis, right? Because she's saying everyone, hundreds of institutes testify that he is the best of the best. And he's a total scumbag. Yeah, because that's what Islam allows, and allows a man at least to be a total scumbag.
Mohammed Hijab is thiqa. And I have their names, and I'm going to share their names in due time, inshallah. And it makes me feel extremely angry and disgusted when I hear some people praise the guy when it suits them, and then say that he is completely a nothing when it doesn't.
That's funny there. Like, he doesn't matter. He's the best of the best. Yeah, he doesn't really matter. Well, I think that one's just kind of funny. That if he's making Islam look good, he's to be praised. If he's not, well, under the bus he goes. Of course, they haven't really thrown him under the bus, but I certainly see that attitude constantly in Islam, right? As soon as some guy is not doing enough for the Dawah, under the bus he goes. We don't need him. He's discardable.
Well, it's like, oh, he has all this knowledge, but he doesn't have the position of a sheikh officially. So, like, well, even though he has this knowledge, meh, kind of thing, right? Because he doesn't have that official standing at all. But even if he did, they would still find excuses.
Yep. So Afghani says, is Mary an ex-Muslim? No, she is not. She is just incredibly gifted at absorbing information and thus knows more than 99% of Muslims about Islam. But she in fact has no personal.
I just like I like learning about law and knowing where things stand. That's why I know that in British law it's way easier to sue for libel than for defamation, generally libel, slander, defamation as a total, than it is in the US and win.
Sarah Alicia says they use such disgusting claims to try to control women. Oh, hell is full of women who don't obey their husbands. You better be careful, Sarah. Yeah. But I mean, where are they getting that disgusting claim from? The words of Muhammad. So this is Islam, right? Again, there are plenty of Muslim men who are decent, loving husbands. They do so in spite of Islam. Islam allows for this exact abusive relationship because it comes straight from the example of Muhammad. Right? Some women are complaining to him, and he says, I have seen hellfire, and the majority of the inhabitants are you, women. And then he says, the primary responsibility of a woman, the primary reason Allah gets upset with a woman is if she doesn't satisfy her husband. Not if, she misses her prayers or she doesn't fast or something. If she doesn't satisfy her husband, that's literally the worst thing a Muslim woman can do. All right, let's continue with Aisha.
I told my father that I have options in marriage between two categories of people. Men who I know absolutely nothing about. I don't know them. How am I going to vet them? How am I going to meet them? There is a culture shock here for me to start with here in the UK. I'm coming from an Arab, conservative country. I already found a lot of struggles to navigate that process by my own. So we've got.
So she's revealing more about why she was so vulnerable. She comes to the UK with her husband, by the way. She comes to the UK. She doesn't mention any of that for some reason, but she comes to the UK with her husband, probably for economic reasons. And then she has a falling out with him. And now she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to meet people in the UK. She doesn't know how to start a relationship with a Muslim, because it's not like Morocco where you can just have your father pick a husband for you. She actually has to do it herself, and she has no clue what to do. So that's possibility one, is just be floundering and have no clue. And then possibility number two is, well, I'm in the Dawah scene. There's lots of Dawah guys. Maybe I can marry one of them.
Someone who I know, a teacher, he's been respectful throughout all that interaction. Never was inappropriate. Never was he flirty or anything. He only asked for my hand and gave me hints for marriage in a respectful way. And everything that showed up about him showed only after the nikah. And somebody else who I know absolutely nothing about, a complete random guy who I would possibly meet down the street.
So her options for marriage, well, she has another option, which is to not marry someone, but regardless.
Well, she has another option, which is not divorce her husband in the expectation
so yeah, she actually
of marrying someone else. The reason she divorced him was to trade up for a better husband, and she didn't have a better husband in the wings. She just ditched him on the
hope for a better husband, right?
Just on Mohammed Hijab. Oh, there are so many men that I can give you. So many men. Get rid of him. He's not a good Dawah guy. So many Dawah guys. And then she ditches him, and somehow they don't materialize. And finally he swoops in to save her.
Right. So her options are not divorce her husband, to stay single, but both of those are off the table for some reason. Marry some random guy she just met. Why she can't start a relationship first? Well, I guess Islam. And or marry Mohammed Hijab, because he was very nice and respectful when she was his student, and he gave hints that he wanted to marry her in a respectful manner. He didn't say, I'm going to abuse you and discard you as soon as we get married. I'm going to make you a sex-only wife as soon as we get married. You see, so it was obviously a really obvious choice for her, because option 1 and 2 are completely off the table. And option 3 is marry some random stranger she meets on the street, I guess as soon as she meets him, or option number 4, Mohammed Hijab. Those are the only options on the table. So you see, she had to marry him after all. Again, big part of the problem here is Islam. If she thinks those are her only options, the problem is because she's thinking Islamically.
People ask me, why did you not go to shuyukh and scholars and imam to ask for help? And
really quickly, I got to go to another meeting. I'll be back. Bye.
Mary had to drop off, but don't worry. Continue on without her, and she might be back in half hour, 45 minutes. We knew that this was a thing in advance, so no worries there.
Okay, this is what made me extremely angry and created a very big issue in my faith. I'm going okay, this guy who I have accepted and I praised to my father, his credentials and his qualifications are listed in every single mosque and institution and the place he goes and speak in.
So everyone says Mohammed Hijab's great. He has great credentials. He is an Oxford graduate after all. I mean, he's an Oxford graduate. What could possibly go wrong? Everyone says he's great. And thus, it's not a crisis of a failed relationship. It's not even a crisis of being tricked and abused. It's a crisis of faith. It's a crisis in her belief of Islam, because Mohammed Hijab isn't just a husband. He is an Islamic scholar. He's the best of all creatures, according to Allah. And he's a disgusting loser. So what does that mean about Islam? It means it's the religion that allows disgusting losers to be the ideal of their society. Let's put it that way.
Whereas those imams you are asking me to go and ask their opinion about Mohammed Hijab, I don't even know who they are. Their qualifications, what they studied, what they didn't study, I don't know them. Should I trust them? Should I not trust them? The question is, why should I trust this guy and not trust the other guy?
So apparently some people told her that she should have checked around. She should have asked imams if Mohammed Hijab was a reliable, a good husband. I think that would be pointless. I mean, she's saying she doesn't know them, doesn't know if she can trust them. Well, I think I could say pretty confidently that she couldn't trust them, to be honest. They would have all just said Mohammed Hijab's a great guy. I guarantee they all would have said Mohammed Hijab's a great guy. It would not have prevented her situation.
Why should I trust this person's evaluation and grading of the other person? Like, I can't understand. Like, people, I feel like people are just like trying their best to throw whatever they feel like throwing on me without absolutely any kind of proper evaluation of the situation.
And I think that's correct, that all the responses from the Muslim side of this have been terrible. They've been pathetic, but that's Dawah. That's every video they put out. All of their videos are very surface level. All of their videos are very generic for the dumbest of the dumb, you might say. That's what they do. That is how you do Dawah. You're not trying to get the smartest. You're not trying to have legitimate intellectual debate. You're trying to trick as many people as possible so that Islam can be the fastest growing religion. Yeah, because you have lots of babies, therefore Islam is true. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. But they have a psychological need to bring in people who, let me be blunt here, are white males. They need people like me. That's who they want in their religion because they have a massive inferiority complex. They shouldn't. I'm no better than anyone else because I'm a white male. But Islamically, they look at the world and they think white males are the best of all people by the world standards. Allah says we're the best of all people. There's a disconnect here. How do we fix this disconnect? Oh, obviously we convince white males to join Islam. They'll also like to get in some white females, but they just want them to because, you know, revert girls take it the best and all that. They want them as sex toys. And they aren't interested in attracting like scholars and intellectuals and anything like that because they know it won't work. And they also know even if it would work, it would be a lot of effort.
Who ate the
They want
apple?
to get the maximum number of people with the minimum amount of effort. That's what Dawah is all about. It's about numbers, not quality, not arguments, not truth. It's about numbers. That's what Islam's all about. So of course, that's what Dawah is all about, is numbers, 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 numbers. Wait, Daddy says it's better than anyone else, you see? It's true. I'm not better than anyone else. Very shocking thing to say, I know.
That's the last thing you would ever want to show anybody.
Take a super chat before we go to the next thing. This one from Amit.
Early, and this is indeed a sign, yet most of them are not believers. Give alone to Allah, give alone to Allah. Ride the wings of Gabriel, give alone to Allah.
Give alone to Allah, give alone to Allah. Ride the wings of Gabriel with your Musad shekels. Thank you very much for your donation from the great state of Israel. I saw that there's a tentative ceasefire agreement again, because obviously Hamas will never agree to anything long term. But I saw there was a new ceasefire agreement tentatively today. So praying for peace there in Israel. Thank you very much for your donation. All right, next up, we got a video which Aisha titled, "How Many People's Lives is the Threshold?" And this is a very interesting clip. This is not Mohammed Hijab exposing himself. This is something completely different. So let me play a little bit of it, and then I'll give the context of what we're watching here.
Molestation rather than do something about it. I mean, at least I quoted ayat and hadith, which is more than I can say for a lot of your khatibs. I found out on Thursday. I let the people know immediately at the first opportunity that I could, reaching the most amount of people that I could. Let me ask you, if that was your child, how many days would you like me to wait?
All right, so this is taken from a video which you can see. Maybe you can see, it might be too small. What happened to Imam Nick? So this guy, Nick Pelletier, was imam in the United States at an Islamic center. I don't remember the city off the top of my head. Irving, Texas, I think. He was imam, and there was a situation where a older gentleman made it sound like he was probably a grandpa age. Well, so, like 60-ish, a very old man, basically, was touching children in the mosque. He was making somewhat sexual advances towards the children. He wasn't technically sexually molesting them, but he was acting extremely inappropriately towards children. One member of the community called him out, and then the next day, said, "Stop touching my child," or whatever. And then the next day, he approached another child and was sucking on the child's cheek, and the child's older sibling saw it and tried to physically attack the guy, the old man. And what happened? So Nick was on vacation at the time. He was out of town. He got back. He said he got a bunch of voicemails, heard about it, immediately went back to the mosque and gave a sermon on it, gave a khutbah, a Friday teaching on the subject, condemning this guy. The board of directors at the mosque basically said, "Shame on you. We were dealing with this. It shouldn't have become a public issue." Because the sermon was broadcast on Facebook, I believe it was. It ended up going viral, ended up getting a huge number of views. A lot of people who had never heard of this community were talking about it. So in other words, him calling out the, let's just say, abuse of the child, not strictly speaking sexual, but in the vicinity of sexual abuse of the child, because he brought it to the public, the board of directors ended up putting him on administrative leave and then ended up firing him. And all this went down like 8 or 10 years ago, somewhere around there. I don't remember the exact year off the top of my head, but somewhere between like 8 and 10 years ago. And he's been silent about it for years. And he came forward a year ago, June 12th, 2024, with this 30-minute video explaining the whole situation. She's just clipped a minute and a half or so out of it, of him kind of explaining himself. And I think what she's saying is like, same situation, right? Same kind of situation. Some sort of abuse took place. And the Islamic community's response was, we need to cover this up. And when it wasn't covered up, shame on you for bringing it public. You no longer have a job. You no longer work for this mosque because you stopped an elderly man from abusing a young child. Therefore, you're not allowed to be at our mosque. You're fired. Your life is over, etc. And I think that he probably did lose a lot, right? I mean, in addition to his employment, he probably lost his reputation. He probably lost his standing in the Islamic community. A lot of Muslims attacked him for this. I'm sure some took his side, but a lot of people attacked him for going forward with this. Because what's worse in their minds, right? What's worse in their minds? An old man touching a child inappropriately. Again, not strictly speaking sexually, but inappropriately. Or someone embarrassing the Muslim community by bringing public attention to it. Obviously, bringing public attention to it's a far greater sin, right? It's a far worse thing to do. And thus, most Muslims attacked him for it. Obviously, at least on this point, I don't know anything else about him, but at least on this point, he was 100% in the right. The Islamic community is 100% in the wrong. And Aisha kind of sees herself in the same situation, right? That she feels she's in the right. The Islamic community is in the wrong. Problem isn't the community. The problem isn't per se. I mean, it is the community, but the problem isn't the community per se. The problem isn't all these scholars don't understand Islam. No, the problem is that in Islam, shame is far worse than sin. People being publicly aware of sin is far worse than the sin itself. The Sun Addict says the XP system seems to have trouble keeping up. I think we determined that you're only allowed to get 75 points an hour. Because after Marion became the first to get to 150, shortly after the 2-hour mark, other people started to get there little by little, and then everyone was stuck at 150. Now Marion has got another 75 first at the 3-hour or the past the 2-hour mark. So, starting the 3rd hour, and I'm sure other people will start getting to 225. Apparently you can only get 25 points an hour, but you can get unlimited reasoned answers points an hour. So keep chatting, keep getting your reasoned answers points. It's a new thing. It's an experimental thing. It's in beta. YouTube might make adjustments to it. My channel was randomly selected as one they're trying it out on. All right, let's hear from Imam Nick.
Everyone in the community had a right to know so that they could check with their children and make sure that nothing happened to them. It broke my heart to look at my son and say, would he have said something? Would he have spoken up? Because these people rarely get caught on the first attempt. And under your incredibly short-sighted, unintelligent minds, you would have done exactly what the board did and tried to cover it up. You would have allowed the man to escape justice, and other victims never would have been able to seek it. And we know that there were more victims. We just don't know how many. What you essentially did was create a straw man argument, where you created a fictitious argument that you knew you could win, so you could deflect from the actual real situation. Hey, is a kiss on the cheek molestation? No? Okay, nothing to see here. That's...
I will say there's definitely some similarities with the situation with Aisha. Create a deflection. She's just a stalker. Is it wrong for Mohammed Hijab to reject a stalker? Of course not. Argument over. When that didn't work. It was just a failed engagement. Is it wrong to have a failed engagement that doesn't work out? No, of course not. And now, of course, the argument that Hijab really would like to make but can't explicitly make, it was a halal marriage. There's nothing wrong happened here. You have to see that just sweeping it under the rug. We see that constantly, and nearly every discussion with a Muslim that comes on the channel or a Dawah guy who's a public figure, take an argument that no one is actually making, a straw man, and refute that. They usually fail to even refute the straw man that they themselves created, and then act like the kafir have been destroyed, and it's pathetic that they keep using the same arguments that have never been addressed. So we do have a Muslim in the chat. Olivia says, I hope everyone here understands truth and find Allah. I'll go do my daily prayers, or I'll go do my prayers. Well, I hope everyone understands truth and finds that Allah is a demon who is trying to drag you to hell, Olivia. If you have some you seem like a friendly person. You don't seem like a problem here, and you're certainly welcome here. But if you have some actual evidence that Islam is true or anything I've said is wrong, then I would like to hear it. Earlier, you said I'm supporting Aisha here. We should weed out all the bad seeds from the true religion. Problem is, I'm glad that you think, I'm glad that you're a good person. I'm glad that you understand that it's immoral. Problem is, there's nothing within Islam that allows you to conclude that hijab is a bad seed. You're using your God-given moral compass, your God-given conscience, to conclude that it's wrong, and you're correct, but you're not getting it from Islam. Because in Islam, it's perfectly permissible to marry multiple women, to keep the second or third or fourth marriages secret from your first wife. And it's perfectly permissible to have a reduced rights marriage, a Misyar marriage, where you contract for something where you have less rights than Islam would normally allow for a woman. And 4, it's perfectly permissible for a man to change the terms of the contract at any time, including one day after the nikah takes place, which is what hijab did. Is he dishonest? Absolutely. Is he disgusting? Absolutely. Is he a immoral sinner worthy of condemnation? Absolutely. But Islam doesn't provide this for you. You're getting this from your God-given moral conscience, not from your religion. And that's the problem.
Not what happened. The board knew that that's not what happened. The community knew that's not what happened. And the leadership knew that that's not what happened. In the afternoon of the day that I went to the police station.
So everyone in the community knew that the public story of, oh, it was just a misunderstanding. It was just an old man who kissed a child on a cheek because it was culturally normative for him to do was not true. That he was, in fact, making sexual type advances towards a young child with the intention of doing more than kissing their cheek. Everyone knew that. They all swept it under the rug anyway. Sarah says, Thaddeus, can we have a talk someday, please, and give a voice to the minority that are discriminating against the majority of Muslims? If you mean like invite someone on, like Olivia, absolutely. I'm happy to have that talk with anyone who wants to. And indeed, I have had on minority Muslim opinions multiple times in the past. I kissed a girl and I liked it. Doesn't work inside a place of worship, I'm afraid. I think it was a man kissing a boy. So, just to be clear, I'm pretty sure it was a boy that he gave unwanted advances towards. But apparently there was multiple cases, right? Apparently there was a lot more. And that's what happens when you try to cover something up. It just gives a license to do more. All right. So now we have the last clip from Aisha. This one is a significant chunk of the Behind Veils video that we've seen before. Let's go ahead.
Dawah.
I think it's
a single piece of
good
concrete
reminder.
evidence.
A good reminder here. Aisha chose to highlight this, so we will as well.
Just one.
What you are about to witness is something unprecedented. This is no longer just a scandal. This is now a criminal case.
Unfortunately, this brother Mohammad Hijab, he started now blackmailing me, using me as a blackmail. Initially, he was saying, I will not do nothing. If you didn't stand against me, I will not do nothing. Then after the patient, I have run out of patience, and I will be taking necessary steps by midnight tonight, all within bounds of Sharia and law. However, you have one final chance to set things up. By the midnight, you must do the following. Look at what he said. Send me a WhatsApp voice message acknowledging that you misrepresented the situation after hearing only one side, specifically the fabrication of evidence and testimonial or testimonies, and apologize for the harm caused. But then the next point is inform the reporters the truth, retract your statement, and provide me with a screenshot as a proof. If you fail to do both, I will proceed accordingly without further warning in full compliance with Sharia and law. Phase 1.
So what, for those who don't understand what's going on here, this is from the Behind Veils video, the last in the series on Mohammed Hijab's abuse, where he is blackmailing Sheikh Tarani. Sheikh Tarani is explaining the blackmail that was put against him. Not what they had planned to expose about him, but what Mohammed Hijab's conditions were, that you need to retract your statement. You need to go and tell the reporters, i.e. Behind Veils, that you have retracted your statement, that you were deceived, that this wasn't the truth, and so forth. And if you don't do that within 24 hours, I will respond in such a way that your career will be destroyed, you will be humiliated, and I'll do so in full compliance with Sharia and UK law. No, first of all, it's certainly not in compliance with UK law to blackmail someone. It's certainly not in compliance. As far as I know, it's not in compliance with Sharia to blackmail someone either. This is just completely and totally wrong, even Islamically. This is actually, Islamically speaking, this is by far the worst thing that Mohammed Hijab did. Maybe he had some slight improprieties with Aisha, Islamically speaking, but attacking a sheikh, attacking a recognized figure, attacking a respected member of the community is terrible, right? We just saw how attacking a random elderly man for abusing a child was treated. Think how much worse it is to call out a sheikh for something he may or may not have done in the past. So Islamically and legally, Mohammed Hijab is absolutely in the wrong here. And I think if anything's going to take him down Islamically, it's going to be this. Now, it'll depend on what Sheikh Durrani does. Mohammed Hijab had his little lapdog, Ali Dawah, release attack video against Sheikh Durrani. And it turns out that these accusations or this embarrassing material is that Sheikh Durrani has been accused of inappropriate behavior towards women on multiple occasions. And there's an investigation into him currently. He might also be a creep. He very well might also be a creep, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't blackmailed. It doesn't mean that he wasn't that he didn't do what he said, which was investigate the situation, talk to the people who Mohammed Hijab had used as witnesses for his secret nikah with Aisha. He stands as a credible witness against Mohammed Hijab, regardless of what he may have done inappropriately with women in the past. And Ali Dawah repeatedly tells us it's not a secret, or it's not a serious offense. It's not sexual abuse. And then he says it's related to women and abuse. Maybe he just doesn't know what. It says it's not sexual harassment. I'm sorry. It says it's not serious. It's not abuse. It's not sexual harassment. And then he says it was about his behavior towards women, which kind of by definition is sexual harassment. So maybe Ali Dawah just doesn't know what sexual harassment is. Anyway, Ali Dawah says it's not a serious offense. And yet it means that you shouldn't trust Sheikh Durrani.
The principles will be set into motion immediately after the deadline.
What you just heard was not a script from a recent mafia film. This was the ultimatum given to Sheikh Mohammed Hijab, not from an enemy of Islam, but from Mohammed Hijab himself, an enemy from within. A man once his student, a man he once defended, and now his blackmailer. Before we play the following, let's make one thing clear. This is no longer just about the deception within a secret marriage. This is about religious manipulation. This is about criminal engagement. This is about the destruction of a scholar's life and reputation, all to bury the truth and to save his reputation.
And that's 100% true. And that's why Aisha posted this, and that's why I'm playing it, is because this is no longer about Mohammed Hijab's abuse and of Aisha and his deception and his tricking her. It's now criminal. Not just for the reason that Behind Veils says, not just because of blackmail, but it's criminal because of the fraud he has committed. The AI, I don't want to even call it a deep fake, but the pathetic attempt, because a deep fake should actually be convincing, the pathetic attempt to pretend some random AI voice was actually Aisha speaking, because of and the fake screenshot and the slanderous claims they've made against her and saying that she's mentally ill and so on and so forth, it's now a criminal situation. Mohammed Hijab has gone from being a moral scumbag to being a literal criminal under UK law, multiple charges that he clearly has violated. multiple charges of fraud, at least one charge of blackmail, multiple charges of slandering. Yeah, shallow fakes. That's what I should call it. An AI shallow fake. And because this is now a criminal situation, and Aisha has agreed, and we're going to look at that here in a minute. We'll look at it after we're done with this video. But she's agreed that she's going to pursue legal charges, which is great because she's not getting any real justice from the stupid Sharia courts. She's agreed to pursue legal action. So I'm highlighting that. I'm bringing it to people's attention. I'm doing what her own Dawah community, what her own Ummah won't do, and that's bringing attention to her situation so that she can get justice. She's created a GoFundMe. We're going to look at that here in a minute. A link's in the video description if you so choose to contribute to that. Orthodox Muslim blocked me on StreamYard. I'm very, very shocked about that. Like I said, Dawah isn't about truth. It isn't about debate. It isn't about the best intellectual argument. It's about numbers. And if you're going to oppose it and like actually make their job hard, easier just to block you.
In my conversations with Sheikh Torana, I gave him my word that I would do my utmost to defend him and to defend the truth. He responded, thanking me if I could defend him.
You see that you defend me, but Jazakallah khairan, may Allah reward and pursue. Otherwise, I will leave my defense to Allah. That's how I always do, and I will continue, inshallah.
Now, hear what they never wanted you to hear, the truth.
Yes. He did apologize. And the screenshot with the apology. He apologized directly to her, and he sent me the screenshot and said, forgive me, and and I have done, if I've wronged you in any way or form, let's move on. I think he was a bit arrogant, to be honest with him. You're my brother first. And you're my student, secondly. You used to come to my class. You don't talk to me like that. And I'm here just to see. I'm not here to expose you. Initially, she asked for apologies. We made him to make apologies to her. So what else? She said, no, we need to warn the other women. We made the video. I'm doing this to protect the Dawah. And I made Ali Dawah to speak about this matter. When the marriage took place and divorce, and even literally they didn't stay for something, only for 1 month or something. And things didn't work between them.
So what Sheikh Torana is saying is that he was acting as mediator. He's saying to Hijab, I'm not trying to expose you. I'm just trying to work things out between you and Aisha. Came to some sort of agreement where he would issue her a private apology. And Ali Dawah was tasked with recording a video, doing the interview of Aisha that we've now seen because she was smart enough to also record it, that he was to release on his channel, which doesn't say Mohammed Hijab by name, but says that someone in the Dawah community conducted this secret marriage, and it will act as a warning towards women so that they won't fall into the same trap. That was the agreement. Sheikh Torana says that Mohammed Hijab did apologize. I have no reason to doubt that. Whether it was sincere or not is a completely different question, but he apparently did apologize. However, after the interview was conducted, after that interview went forward, Ali Dawah, under the encouragement of Mohammed Hijab, deleted it. He never aired it publicly. And when that happened, Aisha hit rock bottom and she had a major crisis of faith. And she tried to reach out to David Wood and Abdullah Samir, and neither of them noticed. They get hundreds of messages a day. They didn't see it. They had no idea who she was. And then she eventually found Behind Veils, which would listen to her, and eventually brought this to public attention. So there was an agreement. Sheikh Torana was acting as a friend, a mediator, and Hijab chose to violate it. And for Sheikh Torana being honest, when Behind Veils found out about it and talked to him, Mohammed Hijab decided to blackmail him into silence.
By the way, they sent her money as well. The witnesses, they said that one of them, they sent her money. because there is marriage took place. And we cannot say that when he divorced her, that the divorce didn't take place because it is done properly. He divorced her according to what they have done. And as well, he gave her mahar, which is the dowry out of that.
These are not vague impressions. These are clear.
And he said that they were only together a month. She got her dowry. Islamically speaking, it was a valid marriage and valid divorce, which doesn't sound like he's saying much, but he's saying a lot, considering that Mohammed Hijab has denied any of this took place. So he's not even saying like Mohammed Hijab did something horrible. He's just telling the truth that the marriage took place. And for that, he is or was being blackmailed by Mohammed Hijab to the point that he ended up in hospital. Just 10 seconds left. Let's play it out.
Affirmations of a nikah, mahr, and a post-divorce apology. Yet they were...
And that's where she stops it. He confirmed that in that clip, he confirmed the gist of it. We've seen lots of evidence. We've seen lots of confirmations of this whole thing over the time that we've been examining it. Again, pinned link, at least for now, because it's about to be replaced. A pinned link for the a playlist with all of the videos on anything that you're unclear of. You can catch up on any of the saga from videos in that playlist. I've covered everything in it, either here or on David Wood's channel or on Friendly Ex-Muslim. I'll get the couple videos that aren't my own added to that playlist as well. So now that we've looked at that, now we're going to go over and take a look at Aisha's channel and look at her community posts. So this is her channel. I've confirmed this multiple times that this is legitimately her. And so we looked at this before, that she said that she's not sharing any information because she's going to go to the Islamic Council of Europe. She then changed her mind and started posting information, probably because after talking to him, she realized she wasn't going to get any justice there. She posted a video, "The person you should not forgive." A generic message, "Stop the genocide." Then a couple interesting messages within the last week. "I was able to collect more information about my father's representatives and the witnesses, and we'll be sharing more when it's appropriate." Sorry, this is really tiny. Let me fix that. So she's saying that she didn't previously know who the witnesses to the marriage were. They were people handpicked by Mohammed Hijab and kept secret from her, but she has determined who they are, and she will be bringing information about them in the near future. Well, when appropriate, but I mean, I assume that's probably in the future. In any case, point being that she now has more information that has not been shared publicly and hopefully will come out. If it doesn't come out publicly before, it will certainly at least come out in the court documents. The potential court case that is upcoming here. And give me 1 second. Something went wrong with the bot, and I'm trying to see what that would be. Shoot, it's not obvious to me. What I see. Oh, okay. I see where the problem is. That should fix that. Get the bot restarted here. Because I tried to change it, put in a message about the fundraiser, and it crashed. And all right, it started back up. And then so that was 7 days ago. Also 7 days ago, hey, I started a fundraiser to take legal actions, donate to help on GoFundMe, and it would mean a lot if you're able to share or donate to it. And then there's a link, but don't use that link because, sister, I've checked on it and it's saying fundraiser not found. Do you have another link? Received an email from GoFundMe that they won't be able to process donations for me. No further information given. I'll try another one. Thanks. Then some guy named Reason Answer says it was probably false flags from Hijab's fanboys. Try, give, send, go. They're unlikely to bow to such pressure. And then the original poster says, I'm sorry to hear that. May Allah grant you a means to be able to raise funds and allow for justice to be served in the dunya and the akhirah. Amin. And then she says, I've updated the page. I'll be sharing receipts with the public throughout the process. So she's saying that she will be accountable, that she will say all the money that she's spending, exactly where it's going, everything that she raises, saying that she'll post receipts. And given that she's posted receipts of a different kind on her page, I have no reason to doubt her that she will be open and sharing exactly where the money's going. Then she replied to me as well. And then says that she made a new GoFundMe, and she also made a page on Give, Send, Go in case you need it. And I had not seen this because this has happened while we were streaming, probably, or maybe like just before it. So I said that I made a donation, which is true, and that I'd be talking about her fundraiser on this very live stream. And I haven't seen this yet, so let me just see what she said to me. He misrepresented Allah's commands, so he being Mohammed Hijab, the Prophet and Islam, wearing the garment of righteousness. He destroyed my life and that of my child, shook my faith, harmed my mental and physical health through his psychopathetic traits. Okay, that's supposed to say psychopathic, I think. Psychopathic traits, the stress and trauma I had to go through. He influenced millions of Muslim men to follow in his footsteps. I welcome everyone who wants to help me fight for the truth and justice, especially after deafening silence of scholars who refuse to correct his claim that deceiving a woman struggling in her life to a temporary no-string halal prostitution is a valid opinion. Thank you for your help. So I said, I hope you don't mind getting support from Christians, right? I said that in my message. So she's saying that she's okay with receiving help from Christians. So good to know. I was accused of being an imposter while I defended Islam all my life. Slandered, stories made and spread about me. Nothing matters to me anymore. When someone's getting murdered they better scream. So there you go. I agree. I agree with everything that she said here. And this is how I have represented the case. I don't think that there's anything in her statement here that I disagree with or that I have said otherwise. I think that she's a very genuine person. I think she cares deeply about Islam. The only correction I will add, or the only clarification, not correction, the only clarification I'll add is that I think her dedication to Islam is part of the reason she got into this situation. And it does this. I've left a number of comments on her channel. This is the first time she responded to me. So that could mean that she's waking up, that she's starting to realize that Islam is a problem. Please, everyone, pray for her. Please, please. Pray for her at minimum. Since I now have explicit permission from her, I feel better about sharing the fundraiser. I did it without explicit permission, but I'm glad I now have explicit permission as well. So then she posted this image, which I'm not quite sure what this is exactly, but it's a fire of some sort. Maybe that's the only message here, is that everything's burning down. And then here's the new fundraiser. I'm raising funds to take legal action. I need your help. And then the great God, Allah, says, I'll donate my entire life savings to your cause, which I assume is a joke because it's, the great God, Allah, saying it. Maybe don't joke. Maybe actually make your donation. I mean, not your entire life savings, but I think that, it's a joke because Allah doesn't have any savings. He needs a loan. Anyway, and then another person here, which I'm not sure if they're Muslim or not, says, take the fake AI recording impersonating you to the police. It's a criminal offense. In the meantime, raise funds for legal counsel should you end up needing it. And I agree. She should definitely do that. She should definitely take to the police, right? It's a serious crime. So let me get the link. The bot has been sharing the link in the chat, I believe. I will share it now as well. So give me 1 second to copy and paste that. And then I will pin it. Also make a community post about it. So I was unsure what the best thing to do in this situation was, because I do acknowledge that there is a substantial possibility that Muslims will use this against her, that they'll use the fact that a Christian was willing to raise funds as proof that she's a kafir and, you know, an apostate and so on and so forth. So I'm very cautious about this. I thought about it carefully. I got counsel from trusted Christian YouTuber friends. And what we decided was the best course of action was to make people aware of it without encouraging people to contribute to it. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying what. Oh, because I pasted the whole thing as I just the URL. I'm not saying to donate money to Aisha. All I'm saying is I have donated money to it. All right, so we'll look at the GoFundMe itself now. Maybe one less. So she has 2 cover images on this. We'll look at those first. Silence in the face of injustice is complicity with the oppressor. I agree. It's got a Palestinian flag on here. I don't agree with Palestinian cause, obviously, but I agree with the sentiment. Anyone who remains silent, anyone who sees injustice and does nothing about it is complicit with the oppressor. And that means all the Muslims who are covering up for this or remaining silent, you're complicit. And she also has this quote: "We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented." I agree with that completely as well. And by the way, as someone pointed out earlier, and I thought I had bookmarked, but it doesn't matter if I bookmarked it or not. I guess I didn't. But I am currently unemployed. I don't have like massive quantities of discretionary income. So take that for what it's worth. Donate to, I think you're trying to say Muslima, or maybe you're intentionally saying muscle man. I don't know. I don't have a problem with donating to someone who's not a Christian. But like I said, make your own decisions. I'm not telling you to donate. I'm not telling you not to donate. I'm seeking financial support to take legal action against those responsible for causing me mental, sexual, and spiritual trauma. I had to use all my savings to move away from the area and provide for my child's care. Your contribution will help me cover the costs of legal proceedings and ensure transparency throughout the process. Your support is invaluable to me as I strive to heal and move forward. Thank you for considering my campaign. I'll publish the receipts and make sure adequate justice is served on behalf of all women and children affected by these heinous crimes. Houston says it's a historical term for Muslim. Thank you. I was unaware of that. Yeah, I think it is morally acceptable for a Christian to donate to a Muslim who has a good cause. Now, I don't think you should like be donating to a Dawah organization or something, right? But I think it is morally acceptable to donate to a non-Christian cause, whether that's a secular charity, whether that's your neighbor down the street who isn't a Christian and is needing help, or it's something like this. I think that it's morally acceptable for a Christian. And if you prefer, you can think of it as donating to bring down Mohammed Hijab. And the Baconator will donate some bacon strips. All right, so that's my thoughts for this. I got some super chats and things that I saved to take. Oh, there it is. I did have it after all. Thaddeus lost his job. And it's true. I'm unemployed. I'm living off savings plus donations from YouTube, from people like you. Covers roughly, the donations cover a little less than half of my living expenses at current. The channel makes less than half of my living expenses, which is okay. I'm not like saying, oh, woe is me, I feel sorry for me or something. It's a choice I'm choosing to make, to do this full time while not actually making enough money to live on. And I chose to donate to Aisha. So Morgan moved. So you're getting the crotch view. Which that off. Professor Yaffle triggered who ate the apple. Pete said Allah ate it. And Breakfast Gun asked the whole apple. Yes, all of it. And then you took the seeds and you put them into the earth. Songs of Relief with a super chat. And because I restarted the bot. So it reset and doesn't know about this, but no worries. So this is different than the problem earlier. This is because I had to restart it to make it talk about the fundraiser. So let me go play this one manually.
I need a better life example. Promote Here's left me intellectually demolished, emotionally abolished, spiritually impoverished.
Oh, I didn't say yeah. Of course, yeah is only appropriate for Ali Dawah anyway. Thank you very much. Songs of Relief there. And I think Mohammed Hijab, the ape apologist, definitely does need a better life example than Muhammad the Prophet to follow. Super chat from AT Ministries.
If you want your wealth to increase in this dunya, then give sadaqah more and more. Every single day, 2 angels come down. One of them is making dua for those who give. He says, Ya Allah, give those who give.
So AT Ministries says, hi, Mary. Long time no see. Did you write? Mary hasn't rejoined us. So I can't specifically ask her. Mary has been, in her words, not in my words, in her words, taking it easy the last week. She would spend a week and a half or so remodeling, working like from sun up to sunset, or even from waking till bed on hard manual labor. So she's been taking it easy the past week, which is probably double what any normal person would do, but she isn't working quite as hard as usual. I think that she probably has done some writing, but she's mostly been working on chores that she has to catch up with after spending a week and a half remodeling her rental property. What is the cat cam about? I mean, it's about cats. These are 2 of my cats. So we got Morgan here. We got Morgan here. And we got Artemis over here. My wife and I have 6 cats. You see 2 of them on your screen. Whenever a cat comes and joins me, they like to sleep up here on my desk. So, extended out from where the cats are is where my monitors are. There's a blanket, as you can see, in front of it, so the cats can sleep on my desk in front of the monitors, or sometimes they'll sleep in my lap. I have a second cam for that, but it's just about seeing my cute cats, nothing else. The cat cam is cathartic. Cat cam is the whole point of the show. Everyone seems to like the cat cam. Not everyone likes like the animations and stuff that you can trigger, but everyone seems to like the cat cam. A lot of people like the animations, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people don't like them too. I get both kinds, but for the cat cam, everyone loves the cat cam. Super chat from Pat's Leather Straps. And I don't think it generated this one. Let me double check. But I believe it didn't generate it. I don't know if it got blocked because of the word penis or it was just an error on the bot. But yeah, it did not generate that one. So I'll see why it didn't generate it. But for today, all those in favor of Thaddeus never saying penis again, say aye. Would you prefer I say dick? Anyway, thank you very much for the donation. Unfortunately, we have to say penis a lot because we're talking about Islam. And Islam is all about penises, unfortunately. It's all about the sexual desires of men. And sometimes other desires. They're not all sexual, but it is all about the desires of men. Sure you don't, Professor Yaffle. I don't like the cat cam, but I'm too polite to say. I know you like the cat cam. I like the kid in the animation. We need reasoned cats t-shirts. Yeah, so I think we're gonna have a members only live stream tomorrow, which will discuss possible merchandising plans. I'm actually leaning towards stuffed animals, but we could have a reason to answer stuffed cat for sure. In this household, we have a love of stuffed animals, and I want to do something that is different than, just like the generic, t-shirts and coffee cups that every YouTuber does. I like cats, but not the cat cam. Okay. Maybe you're being truthful. But oh well. I mean, Professor Yuffle, you're a great long-term supporter, and I love you, but Cat Kim staying. Reason to cats, I believe. I love it. Yeah, I think we'll definitely have a reasoned cat as one of the possible stuffed animals. But we'll be discussing tomorrow what potential stuffed animals, and then we'll put it to a public vote after we've narrowed it down to a few choices. There'll be a contest behind it. Whole affair there. So be on the lookout for that. Protestant believer triggered who ate the apple as well. And we had this message earlier, which I was trying to save in case Mary returned, but she didn't return. I guess it took a little longer than she anticipated. Mary Harb, an absolute fascinating lunatic you are. What are conjecturing about prophets' mothers, which no historical records support your claims? What's your source? Trust me, bro. I kind of think this is a joke because their name is Keyboard Ghazi. So like keyboard jihadi, but even more Islamic than jihadi. And Mary didn't talk about Muhammad's mother. Oh, I guess she did. She talked about her probably being a traveler's, I think. But I still think this is a joke. I don't think this was a serious comment. And if Mary was here, I'd allow her to talk more about the prophet's mother. But basically, Muhammad's mother was married to Muhammad's father. And then Muhammad's father died. And then 4 years later, she gave birth to Muhammad. So Muhammad's father isn't Muhammad's father. She was having relations with people who were not her husband, because she didn't remarry. She was being a traveler's wife. She was being the town prostitute. It's not really like conjecture, unless you actually believe that people can be pregnant for 4 years before giving birth. Or it might have only been 3. It's up to 4, but there's other stories. I think maybe Muhammad's mother was only 3. But either way, way longer than 9 months. Pregnancies can occasionally be longer than 9 months. They can be 10 months, 11 months, maybe even 12 months on the extreme 1 in a million chance. 3 years, never. No way. Never happened. She was having sex with other men. Because she didn't have a man to support her, she resorted to prostitution, and that's all there is to it. Just watched God Logic in UK. Brilliant stuff. Dawah Olympics 1400 meter. Dawah guys won the gold. I assume you mean a live talk. I was unaware that God Logic was in the UK right now. Hey, Yaya. Oh my gosh. Yaya, I haven't seen you in years, Yaya. I was about to sign off. Hey, Yaya, since you're here, why are you trying to distract from us talking about the sexual abuse of Mohammed Hijab? When you distract from sexual abuse, that means you're complicit in it. Are you complicit in sexual abuse of Mohammed Hijab? Are you complicit in the blackmail of Mohammed Hijab? Are you complicit in the fraud of Mohammed Hijab? Are you complicit in the deep fakes of Mohammed Hijab? If not, then don't come in and try to distract. I heard you were utterly humiliated twice in debates against Anthony Rogers, which is probably why you're suddenly back here. But I'm not going to allow you to distract. I'm going to call any person who attempts to distract from the subject at hand complicit in whatever that subject is. The Yaya debate with Anthony Rogers is found on DCCI. I'm not sure that both of them have been published. I know they both took place. I'm not sure whether they've both been published, but at least one of them has definitely been published. And I think it might have been a live stream, in which case, obviously, they're both published. I think it was a live stream. And so they're both published. Anyway, go over there and sacrifice your brain cells. Or, just only watch Anthony's parts, either or. All right. Peers, we are done for today. Again, link to the fundraiser is in the video description. Thank you for joining us today. As previewed, I'll have a members only live stream tomorrow. And also, as previewed much earlier, on Tuesday, Mary and I will be on the Apologetics Roadshow channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, to talk about Epic City. I'm going to be working on a scripted video about Epic City, summarizing the information to give us a basis, an easier basis of what to focus on and talk about while we're on Apologetics Roadshow. We've discovered that the alleged discrimination, the alleged violation of Fair Housing Act by having only Muslims in the community is very minor in comparison to the probable financial fraud going on behind the scenes, how the Muslim investors are being taken advantage of by the Epic East Plano Islamic Center Mosque. Later today, in about 2 hours, I'll be on Your Brother in Christ channel to discuss the, I don't know if you want to call it debate or what, but the for lack of a better term, the debate between Jordan Peterson and 20 atheists that is everywhere, that everyone's talking about. We'll be talking about that. I have not watched it. You'll be getting my live reaction to the clips that Your Brother in Christ shows me, because quite frankly, I didn't care. Generic theist, Jordan Peterson versus 20 random atheist, brain dead atheists. No interest to me. Not a subject I care about. But Your Brother in Christ asked me to cover it, so you'll get my live reaction to that on his channel in 2 hours. When I wrap this up, you'll get redirected over there. More stuff coming up, but that's plenty, right? You got a live stream in 2 hours. You got a live stream tomorrow if you're a channel member, and you got a live stream on Tuesday and a scripted video, probably Tuesday morning is what I'm going to aim for on that. So lots going on, lots of stuff happening. Until we meet again, God bless everyone. And of course, what other way would we close out other than with prayer from our favorite pastor?
Pray this ceaselessly. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me.